Good evening, everyone. I'm your host, Jason Miles, and welcome to another episode of Beyond the Red Zone, our leftist sports show here on This Is Revolution. For those looking for This Is Revolution, the more serious show, and I put serious in those little finger quotes. We'll be back tomorrow. Alex Herbert and I will be talking about our recent article in Sublation magazine, Come As You Are, Neoliberalism and the Left. It will be a fun conversation about punk rock and sports. If you are new to this channel, if you're new to the sports talk, it's a little different take on sports. I think you guys will enjoy the topic today. I feel like you will have so much to say. That being said, let me bring in my co-host for this endeavor, who is not in the most festive of moods today because of his Cleveland Cavaliers. Please welcome my man Mac.
That's right. Wearing my Isaac Okoro jersey because that was cheap when he got drafted.
Can I tell you what jersey I was able to find on eBay that I've been wanting since I was 9?
Bob Cousy.
Wow. No. I'm looking at it right now in all of its glory. A 1989 San Francisco Giants Will Clark jersey.
Ooh. Complete with dip spit stains on the front.
And with the Confederate flag.
That dip stains, you know.
I was like, oh man, I'm so excited for this. But then I realized I lost my Giants hat.
Oh, you got to get one of the old school ones now.
I was gonna get the old with the orange. I had the one with the orange bill.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what kills me. Giants fans, because let's face it, teams make a ton of money off merch. That's why we're seeing the city pride uniforms and MLB. We get the NBA ones they trot out. The NFL is allowing for a third jersey, but I've never seen a group of fans like the Dodgers and Giants fans that piss and moan the most. And I'm like, dude, you've had the same jerseys and uniform layout since 48. Okay, calm the fuck down. You're starting to sound like Red Sox fans.
Dude.
And the only reason they don't change it is we know why. Okay, we know why.
They changed that font. So they changed it for the 80s a little bit because in the 70s and the 60s, there's a little more cursive-y. And I had a throwback in the 90s. And I have no idea where that is. And I was just digging around on eBay and I was like, no way. Will Clark jersey, $40. What?
Yeah, you can't beat that. Good luck finding a jersey right now. Yeah, Nuri, you are not kidding. I bought a Bohemian FC, which that's my European football club team, right out of Dublin. I bought their Refugees Welcome jersey. Because it's Ireland and they just don't give a shit. They're like, we're here to support people. And I love what they're doing right now. Boho FC, Jason, has been hosting Palestinian refugees.
Word.
Matches. Yeah.
Word.
And every jersey sale because they have one that's got the Palestinian flag on it, all sales are going to relief efforts down in Gaza. Because the Irish go hard for Palestinians. They fucking absolutely do. And
helped out the ANC as well.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right, Nuri. Fucking football jerseys change every 10 to 15 minutes. It's just
you know why? Because basketball jerseys. When basketball jerseys started doing the throwback thing in what was that, the late 90s?
Yeah.
Jersey sales went off the hook for hoop, and then football was a little late.
What was funny, Jason, is that the first team to do the throwbacks in the 90s were the old ABA teams that came over when they merged. It was the Pacers, the Spurs, the Nets, and what was the fourth one? The Nuggets.
I like them. I hella like the basketball throwbacks. Some of the football New Jerseys I've seen, I'm like, eh.
Yeah. I'm the same way. I mean, Pats fans right now are in an uproar because the Pats are putting a patch on the jersey to celebrate a 70th anniversary or something, and they're just throwing a fit. I'm like, will you guys shut the fuck up?
Dude,
just shut up.
Pats, to me, the Pats original jersey.
It's far
red,
better.
way better.
And with the Minuteman on
With
the side of the
Minuteman
helmet.
on it, the red. The worst is they had when you said they bought out that what kind of football team was it?
It was the World League of American Football. Yeah. The Columbus Glory played 1 year right before the league folded. And Robert Kraft, who had just bought the Pats and didn't have the finances, instead of hiring a designer to redo the jerseys and shit, just bought their stuff. And that's what the Pats trotted out in 93.
Those were trash.
Dude, the Flying Elvis is the worst fucking logo. I hate it. Like, I fucking hate it. And then when we found out, hey, we're going to change the jerseys, I was like, fuck yeah. And they just went to the color rush. I'm like, you didn't change anything, man. Like,
well, I like the dark blue with the dark blue pants. That's kind of sick.
What I missed was the alternate from the mid 2000s was a silver jersey. And where it was silver on the uni, it was the dark blue. I had a Corey Dillon jersey like that.
I remember that one. Oh, I know exactly what year you're talking about.
Yeah,
it was. Remember the Niners had one that they never wore that was gold. The jersey itself was gold. If the Niners played in those gold jerseys, the Bay Area would lose their damn mind.
Oh, dude, there'd be a collective orgasm all throughout the Bay Area. Just jizz. It's not fog. It's just jizz that's just hanging above the city.
Remember Ghostbusters with the Stay Puft exploded? That's what downtown San Francisco would look like.
Everybody in Oakland's like, oh man, Niners tried out the gold uniform.
They got the gold jerseys.
Get your fucking umbrellas out so you don't get pasted in the face with bougie jizz.
Tech jizz everywhere. Dude, had the Niners won that Super Bowl, Tech jizz would have been everywhere.
Oh, dude.
Oh, 2 heartbreaking losses to the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. This goes right into the topic tonight. A lot of people don't casual sports watchers or maybe just sports fans are like, what is with all the hate for the Chiefs? Is it just because they've been ridiculously dominant the last 5 years? No, dude. I'll tell you exactly what it was. They got a black dude at quarterback.
Is he? I'm trying to think. Who? So Doug Williams won one. I really have to think. Whether black quarterback won a Super Bowl other than him?
Okay, we had Williams start in, what was it, 80?
87, the 88 Super Bowl.
Yeah.
88 Super Bowl, he won it, beat the Broncos.
Okay.
Please don't remind me.
And now keep in mind, people will have to remember, Joe Gibbs didn't want him.
Yeah.
He was coming
Jay
over.
Schrader started the game.
Yeah, he was coming over from the USFL, and Gibbs had a huge axe to grind with the USFL because what did the USFL do that the NFL owners at the time managed to do for decades was keep player salaries low.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute you had guys like Steve Young signing a 20-year, like $20 million deal with the LA Express, NFL owners were like, God damn it. And then you had guys like Reggie White, Sam Mills, Doug Flutie, Herschel Walker, all getting their start in the USFL. And
Reggie White.
Yeah, when that league went tits up, the owners were like, we're going to have to pay these guys, otherwise they won't play, and that led into player salaries going up, and then the eventual strike in 92, which led to free agency in 93. So, I mean, Gibbs just looked at Doug Williams as a USFL quarterback who was one of the guys that, made it difficult for him to keep that homegrown group of stars that Washington had. Man, fucking 15 points.
Right. Hey, I think you better let it go. Let it go.
I'm wondering if I did just see Donovan Mitchell, 2 games ago in his last game in a Cavs uniform.
Maybe not. Strange things have happened in sports.
Yeah, but
things have happened in sports.
Let's see, Doug Williams in 87. And then we had...
I don't even think he started the next year. I think they gave the ball back to Jay Schrader to start.
They did.
If you remember in that Super Bowl, I remember that Super Bowl so vividly. I was so angry. I wanted segregation to come back. Just for the Redskins, though.
I mean, that's the thing, Nuri. So seriously, it is not time to stop this black QB stuff. Seems like every liberal sports hack loves to lean on so-called mythical hate of black QBs still being a huge issue. Dude, Nuri, it still is an issue. I live in the South.
It is, and it is. Well, here, this is my take on it, and you tell me what you think, and then we'll get onto this Cooper Flag thing because I think it all ties in together.
Yeah.
I think that we see a paradigm shift with Cam Newton as the first overall pick, and was it 2011?
Yeah.
And I say that, and RG3 goes number 2 the year before. What was interesting to me about the talk about Cam Newton as the first overall pick is I came up right around the era that Heisman winners aren't first round picks anymore. I'm a teenager when Gino Torretta, or maybe a tween, when Gino Torretta wins the Heisman and goes in the 7th round. And I don't think he even plays professional football.
No, I don't think I think he only made it a year or two, but then we had
Charlie Ward was a quarterback at Florida State, didn't play professional football at all. He went to the NBA.
Yeah, he played for the Knicks.
The quarterback position and big numbers when I was coming up was looked at a little differently. I don't know if you remember a guy named Todd Santos who played at San Diego State in the 90s. Mm-hmm. At the time, for a long time, he had the most passing yards in NCAA history. Didn't go until like the 5th or 6th round to the Saints, and they didn't even really want him. And he never played a down in the NFL. So a guy like Cam Newton that won the Heisman as a dual threat, and I didn't know how good of a passer he was because he was just such a big bruising player, and his big bruising play is what beat Oregon in that championship game.
Yeah.
Watching him throw for 4,000 yards as a rookie.
Yeah.
After RG3 came in, and if it's not for that knee injury, maybe we're not talking about Lamar Jackson. Maybe we're talking about RG3 is maybe one of the greatest players of all time, because that was a dominant. Those guys had some really impressive rookie seasons, because there was a lot of black quarterbacks taken in the first round that didn't really pan out. Josh Freeman comes to mind.
Yeah, but then you have guys like Freeman. That was a big reach, and that was in the year Freeman was drafted was considered one of the weakest drafts in the NFL. Right? It's kind of like going into this year's NBA draft, which is considered like stupid weak after the top 6.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if you are ready to hear American heads explode, like a lot of the top prognosticators in the NBA are saying 5 out of the top 7 players are all coming from Europe. So there's going to be a lot of butthurt fucking people over here. But yeah, you had people like David Garrard, who wasn't a first round pick. He lasted a few years in the league.
He played longer than Byron Leftwich, who had a decent first round career.
Yeah, Leftwich would have been better off if he wasn't immobile and just kept getting lower body injuries.
They carry him to the next to the line of scrimmage in that bowl game against David Garrard.
Yeah, that was Marshall, East Carolina.
Yeah.
But like whether we want to admit it or not, Nuri, and I'm not like trying to discount what you had to say, but in the South, I'm going to tell you right now, when Newton was drafted, being here in North Carolina, holy shit. There was either, hey man, this guy just got done winning a national title. Let's see what we got. At this point, the Panthers have been just trash. Mm-hmm. Right. And then you have the other half that somebody already
Jimmy
said.
Clausen. Jimmy Clausen was a Jimmy Clausen coming out of high school in SoCal. I think I really, let's be honest. Jimmy Clausen doesn't go to Notre Dame. If he could have played at SC or even UCLA.
Yeah, I think he would have stayed home.
He goes to Notre Dame. He's going to be the next Joe Montana. Every quarterback out of Notre Dame is going to be the next Joe Montana. He had a very mediocre, poor rookie season.
It was
most do.
He was average in college. He wasn't like didn't set the world on fire. And that rookie year in Carolina, where he should not have been starting, you could tell that this guy did not have an NFL arm, and he didn't know how to read a field properly. So that immediately, you're just like, okay, dude, this was a wasted second round pick. So we're going to go into the draft after having only one game, and you pick up a guy like Cam Newton, which was amazing. Now, I cannot believe, I was saying, how like the other half of that argument was we're not going to win. Like you actually heard it. We're not going to win with a black quarterback. And I'm just sitting there like, why? This guy won a national title, right? And a part of their argument was, look at what he did with Florida. He's a felon. He stole laptops and he couldn't beat out Tim Tebow. Well, dude, I hate to tell you this, a lot of people weren't beating out Tebow. He was attached to Urban Meyer's dick, like he had super glue on his lips.
That wasn't Cam Newton not being able to beat out Tebow. That was your role.
Mm-hmm. You know? So, I mean, I think Newton, if we're talking an injury-free Newton, and I'm not talking like the little stuff you pick up in the season, but without the rotator cuff injuries, without the elbow injuries, his career lasts longer. But you could tell that the injuries to his right arm really sapped his ability to push the ball down the field. And we saw that year in New England. Like, I really wanted Cam to be successful. You know, I really did. I was excited. I have a Cam Newton Pats jersey.
He was one of the most fun players when he was healthy, when he was winning MVPs. Cam Newton, by one of the most fun players to watch in football.
Oh, yeah. Just what he was able to do on the field. It was nuts.
Yeah. Actually, I don't mind him as a human. You know, I don't agree with everything he says, but dude, as a human, he's just not a bad dude.
No, I mean, the worst thing you could say about Cam Newton is he thinks he dresses well, but he dresses like a Parisian vagabond. Okay. And then at like his post-career thing he's doing is entrepreneur, but he hasn't started a company. Like, so it's just like he just kind of picked that title out of a hat and was like, this is what I am now.
One of those big fucking hats he wears.
Yeah.
One of those big fucking hats.
And when he pulled it out, it was like chiseled into stone because the hat was able to hold it, you know, like
I'm over here thinking about black quarterbacks and I, you know, I'd have to like look I'd have to Google it, but thinking about people, we'll let halvesies count. So Colin Kaepernick got to go to a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. Steve McNair went to a black college, right? Historically black college.
State, yeah, Alcorn State.
Just put up such big numbers that you had to draft him.
Well, let's face it, he's only at Alcorn State because they didn't have a high requirement for high school. Like he was not a very good student. He openly admitted it. Mm-hmm. Like he was just like, dude, I just played football. That's what I did. And he's like, I did well enough to get into Alcorn State. And that was the only place that was going to give me a scholarship. Mm-hmm. Okay. Dude got through. He got a degree out of it. So like he figured it out, the scholastic part. And then he ends up in, you know, Tennessee, which was honestly probably the best spot for him to go to.
I mean, how many years was he in the league before they go to that Super Bowl? 2 or 3? Maybe 4?
Yeah. And then you got to think, you know, he had a great career. Yes. You know, just phenomenal. But when I say he had the best spot to go in Tennessee was the fact that Eddie George, top of his game, was there. So there's no expectation for him to.
And they had a good defense too.
Very good defense. And you have to think Fred Wycheck's there as an outlet tight end. The wideouts were pretty good. But like when you ran the ball the way George did at, you know, before, honestly, all those carries kind of caught up to him. You know, that's great. And then he sat the first year. He just learned the playbook.
Yeah. Under Cody Carlson. I think they were still in Houston. Like when you think about some of these black quarterbacks and this idea that you can't win with a black quarterback, and I don't want to say I get it. I think you can start going, you can't win with an Irish quarterback. You know, you can start.
Well, I'll tell you right now, you're probably not winning with an Irish quarterback.
You're probably not winning with a Jewish quarterback. I don't think a Jewish quarterback. Has a Jewish quarterback won the Super Bowl? Does Joe Theismann? No, he's not Jewish. Is Joe Theismann Jewish?
No,
he's Jewish.
Is he?
I think so.
I feel like maybe he converted because he married a Jewish woman.
I don't know. I think I don't want to sound like a racist, but I do.
Well, well, dude, let's face it, man. I don't know if you saw this. Like I had a great night of sleep for the first time in like a month. I slept 6 hours, so I was super.
You look great, by the way.
Thank you. I went to the gym and then I was like, I took a shower and I'm going to make my smoothie for breakfast. So I just decided scrolling through Twitter. You know, Heinz Hall is, whether you like Macklemore or not, it's a good track, and every download, like he's donating a portion of it. Cool.
Adorable.
Yeah, but then Modest Yahoo. Does everybody remember him? The Jewish rapper who.
Oh, yes. Okay. I thought you were calling somebody names.
No. He decides to come on and do like a diss track back to him, and it was awful. And then you realize he brought up cultural appropriation. And I'm like, dude, you rapped the first 10 years of your rap career with a Jamaican patois,
yeah,
right? Claims to have left the Orthodox part of Judaism, has not. And on top of that, the dude is part of a Jewish rap group called the Wu-Tang Clan. And I'm like, I was not ready for all this shit this morning. I'm suddenly very upset. So I read a little bit, got really excited about the Cavs game tonight. Now, like, my whole day is ruined between Matisyahu and the Cavs. It really is.
You got to get off Twitter, dude. I don't want anyone. Now that I know there's a Wu-Tang Clan, I feel, oh man, it's just, I think saying that is a hate crime.
I think so too.
I think
what I want to do is I want us to reach out to like RZA, Ghostface, Method
and make
Man,
them battle the Wu-Tang Clan
and be like, how do you feel about this? I know Method will be like, oh, bitch, you know.
I don't even want to think about the fucking Wu-Tang Clan,
dude. It's like 3 like Shabbat Jewish men in the giant hats, right? And it's just they started during COVID, so all their videos are like right outside of Temple with like their masks on and their hats, and I'm just like, oh, why, guys? Why? Just
there's been 8 black quarterbacks in the Super Bowl: Doug Williams, Patrick Mahomes, Steve McNair, Donovan McNabb. We totally forgot McNabb. You know why? He choked.
Oh, big time.
That's the biggest. Colin Kaepernick. We said that. Who else do you think? So we said all these names. Who else? This guy won one. Huh?
Those guys are the big ones.
You forgot. You forgot who won. He went to 2 back to back. Russell Wilson. Totally forgot.
Did we forget, or are we just like?
Well, again, he beat the Broncos. So once again, I was hoping for some bussing.
It's bussing. Okay, Russ, come on.
Oh, you know who else we forgot? Jalen Hurts.
I've got some thoughts about Jalen.
I want to hear
him. We're 4 years into his career,
and
when he balled out in 2022 and just Wu-Tang Clan. Is it bad that I listen, like, in my head, it was like a stereotypical Jewish mom's voice that I heard that in?
Hey, it's nothing to fuck with.
Nothing to fuck with, okay? Now, did you eat? Did you eat? Now, sit down. I've got matzo ball soup.
Oh.
But the last 2 years, man, like, Hurts has kind of, it's like he stepped on a banana peel in the second half of the season. Now, are we looking at a dude who's just kind of like maybe trying to carry too much of the team success on his back? Or are we finally seeing the limitations in his game? Right. Last season, I don't know if you could really hold that against Jalen Hurts because that defense just folded in the second half of the season. They're like, defense, we're not going to play that shit. We're just going to go on the field and stay in there.
Right. It was odd. It was an odd fold like I've never seen before.
Yeah. But like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm kind of torn on Jalen Hurts. I just don't know if he's the guy that's going to be able to carry long-term success. I guess we'll see after, when the season starts with the adjustments on defense. There's just too much talent. The Eagles draft better than any team. They managed to get like top 5 talent at pick 19, 20, 21, Yeah. And it's just like, how did the defense manage to just like drop the bag last season? If they would have just done a little bit of work, the Eagles are, sailing through the season, but like, I don't know, man. Maybe it's time to have that conversation about Jalen Hurts. Like, is this the dude? Is he good enough overall to be like a guy to get you to multiple Super Bowls? And I don't know if we've seen him be able to do that outside of that 1 year yet.
That was a good year for Philly. I think they kind of caught a lot of people by surprise that year.
Yeah, I think so too. But I mean, it's again, I like being wrong. about players because that means they're successful. And you guys know me, I will never bag on a player, no matter how much I may dislike them as people, because this is what they do to make money, to feed their family, and do whatever else, right? Like, and as somebody who is so hard up right now, I'm going to donate plasma tomorrow. I want people to make money. Well, dude, I had to pay $300 this month to a doc so I can get my VA disability raised. So that kind of like was a hit in the pills. But if I can get my fucking rating raised to 100, dude, that's almost an extra $2,000 a month tax free. So
oh hell yeah! Thank you, U.S. government.
Yeah, you're welcome, U.S. government, for sacrificing
my mind, dignity,
body, dignity. You know,
that's all it was. Who needs that?
Yeah.
Duh. One day you'll have your own action figure. That's all that matters.
I mean, yeah. And if they really want to make it realistic, you put like the knees when you bend them, they creak. You have the packet, the medical packet that's this thick that goes in the left hand, you know, like it's just.
I'm going to get a Mac, like a G.I. Joe figure, and it'll have those things, but instead of a gun, it'll just hold beers or White Claws. Have a White Claw grip. It's with the White Claw grip.
That's right. You got to have the White Claw grip. Well, it's just water tonight. Just water tonight.
That's an interesting conversation, the statement you said about the black quarterback thing, because I do feel after watching the first round of the NFL draft the last 2 years, and if you think about the top quarterbacks coming off the board, especially this year, we admitted, and a lot of people have admitted, the stretch that was the white quarterbacks. JJ McCarthy, Drake May. A lot of people say Bo Nix is a stretch, but the can't miss players, Caleb Williams, and
Jalen Daniels.
Yeah. They're like, oh, Jayden Daniels and Caleb Williams are can't miss prospects, but everybody else is kind of.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Daniels, he's going to need to hit that strength and conditioning and coach up every fucking day to build out his menu for meal prep and get him in the weight room, because your left arm is as big around as he is, and he's just a very slight man right now. And slight men do not survive an NFL season. Look at Anthony Richardson, case in point. He is not a big man, and when he took that pop, you know that
I felt it.
Yeah,
I was watching that game. I felt that hit.
Like, dude, no, you can't. One, sliding's okay. You're allowed to do that. And two, you need to bulk up some, right?
I remember when Alex Smith came into the league when he was with the Niners, and someone blew him up. Who was it? I can't remember who it was. They blew him up. I think they broke something on him, an arm or something.
Yeah, and that was it wasn't that the weird thing coming out of Utah? They're like, he's a mobile quarterback. And it's like, dude, this is when Utah was in the Mountain West. Outside of Boise State, not a lot of speed, not a lot of good teams in that conference. He may have looked fast on the field against the Mountain West, but running in the NFL,
dude, Alex Smith got destroyed until Jim Harbaugh came to San Francisco.
Yeah, and I mean, as much as I detest Jim Harbaugh, he's got a pretty good system that quarterbacks can be very successful in. And the thing is, it's flexible enough for when you move from a guy like Alex Smith, who was not asked to do much with his feet, right? And then you move to Colin Kaepernick, who can burn you with his feet. The system's flexible enough to just introduce like zone read plays for that QB without it disrupting anything. You know, so like if Justin Herbert actually had some wheels, like he's
faster than you think.
Yeah, but he's not a runner. You know, he's not a runner. His job is to stay in the pocket, be shifty, get the ball downfield.
I mean, look, I used to see him run at Oregon, but that's been 5 years ago. Yeah. So maybe he doesn't have the wheels he had in college, but he can run. He's a threat.
Yeah, but he's not a Kaepernick threat with his feet. You know, he's
and Kaepernick that dude had a stride that if he got green grass, just peace.
I hated that shit because he's a what you would call like what you'd want for a prototypical quarterback. 6'2", 230, but his stride, he ended up like 4.5 yards with just one fucking stretch of the leg, and then once he did that twice, like he's up to top speed and just like
Colin Kaepernick, hell of a quarterback for a couple years. And then everything, San Francisco went from sugar to shit so quick.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. Like we can rehash everything that happened and do a postmortem. I mean, I to this day still think he should have went to Canada. If anything, he would have had game film. It would have made more teams that were quarterback needy more open to signing him.
I honestly think, and there was a settlement. I just honestly think that there was collusion in the league to keep him out of the league.
Absolutely.
For something I find extremely passive and actually somewhat docile. By the time it wasn't just like sitting out and it was like a whole kneel thing, I was like, oh, this is not what you people think it is. But it was enough to disrupt the league. I think they were just pissed at him, and he had to pay a certain price.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. But see, again, like he was talented enough to play, and we have people like Gardner Minshew on our roster right now. Like how does he still have a job? Mac Jones.
They didn't kneel.
Those guys. You're just like, good God, man. Like how were those people able to be employed and drafted? And a guy who has a track record of success. And yeah, there were flaws in his game that I think it would have just helped if he had a dedicated quarterback coach that sat with him and helped him work through him. I mean, he kind of had a hitch in his giddy up when it came through to, passing. But I mean, that comes when you play under Chris All, in the pistol, right? Like it was different. He didn't need. He was and again, he played in the Mountain West, right? Like he was the best player on the field every time he got on the field. You didn't need to really work with him. When you get to the pros, everybody's fast, everybody's strong, everybody's big. You gotta work on those like kind of what do you call them? Those little things, right? To elevate your game, So that's just how it is, Jacob, Utah and Utah State, believe it or not. Yeah, 2 D1 programs in Utah.
BYU 3
and up.
BYU's
a corporation. Let's be honest.
That's fine. It's don't you dare. Hey, what are they called? The BYU what?
Cougars.
Tigers?
Cougars.
Cougar Tigers.
Well, I mean, Cougars makes sense, especially when you have guys like Zach Wilson that played there.
What are the Utes? The BYU. What's Utah State?
The Aggies.
The Aggies. Okay. Yeah, I forget all the time.
I don't even know what a fucking Aggie is, but there's
some in Texas apparently.
There's 4 college football teams with the name Aggies: Utah State, New Mexico State, Texas A&M, and maybe 3.
There's more Aggies out there we don't know about.
I don't even know what a fucking Aggie is. Like I have no idea what it is.
Jake said their mascot is a sexy middle-aged. That's the Aneys. That's not the Aggies. That's the Aneys. The Aneys. It's a different team.
Oh, that's what it means. Thanks, Jacob. It means ag school.
That's still whack. This is still whack as fuck. This is no imagination whatsoever. Just call them the Aggies.
Oh man.
Well, look, let's get into this because I want to hear what the people have to say about this, and I want to hear what you have to say about this. For sports fans that follow beyond the college game and even follow prep sports, the name Cooper Flagg should be a name you've heard before. At only 17, many in the sports world are touting him as a can't-miss prospect. Flagg, who committed to Duke, is even being predicted as a number 1 overall draft pick. If that happens, Cooper Flagg will be the first white American player chosen number 1 overall in 47 years. Yes, the last white player to go 1 overall in the NBA happened in the year of my birth, 1977, and his name, Kent Benson, the great Kent Benson. Do you remember the Kent Benson?
I can't say I do.
Okay, well, I'm going to take you guys down memory lane. After leading his hometown Hoosiers to an undefeated season, 32-0, Benson would be the first pick chosen by the Milwaukee Bucks. In Benson's first game with the Bucks against the LA Lakers, he elbowed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who retaliated with a vicious right hook that shattered the hand of Jabbar and only caused Benson to miss one game. And I think he broke his jaw. Benson would play an underwhelming 12 years in the NBA and some ball overseas in Italy, never quite living up to the hype. Could this be the same for young Cooper Flagg? Flagg, a Maine native, would be the first NBA player to come from the state of Maine if drafted. Maine has one D1 program, and they've never won a tournament. Both his parents played college basketball, with his mom playing at the D1 level and being part of the team that actually defeated Stanford in a tournament game. Now, we've said many times on this show that the hoop dreams archetype is dead in big-time competitive athletics. If you don't have access to professional training, if you're not playing in all of the big-time AAU tournaments and going to big corporate sponsored camps, you'll be operating at a serious disadvantage. Cooper had been playing with the high school kids since he was a junior in high school. He had elite coaching, great genes, and parents with the ability to not just take him to tournaments, but when he chose to go to an elite high school in Florida, they were able to move to Florida to stay close to their son. In the NFL, there was a lot of hype around the idea of the first white first-round defensive back taken in over 20 years, Cooper DeJean. What is it with these Coopers? But seriously, in leagues that are consistently trying to eliminate racism, what is with all of the identity talk?
Well, I boxed, I think everybody knows that. And for years, and you don't hear it quite as much now because white people just aren't into boxing the way they used to be. There was always the look for the great white hope. And, in the early 2000s, that was Kelly Pavlik, the guy who beat Bernard Hopkins, for the unified middleweight title. And Kelly went off the rails. Honestly, that's because he decided to never leave Youngstown, Ohio, which, bro, if you can get the fuck out, get the fuck out. That's all I'm saying. But I've traveled quite a bit, and I have never seen this type of discourse around sports the way I do in the United States. Like you were talking about before we went live. It's a very American kind of thing, to look for, the great white hope for whatever sport it is. And the thing is, we're in the midst of it right now with Christian McCaffrey, right?
But Christian McCaffrey isn't just a white kid playing running back. He's a kid whose father played at an elite level in college and the NFL and coached.
And his mom was like a championship member of a track team.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Genes.
Yes, genetics, right? But still, when he started balling out at Stanford, I live in Fayetteville, Armytown. You get people from everywhere, right? I actually bumped into a couple of actual Stanford fans, and they were both officers that graduated from Stanford. I'm like, where the fuck did you go wrong in your life that you joined the Army with a Stanford degree? He's like, dude, all around the Bay, like they're just excited because he's a white dude dominating at running back, and when he gets drafted by the Panthers, it's the same kind of talk. Right? You get these old timers down here that are like, it's about time, white folks can play running back. Oh! And it's just like, who? Cool.
Just
man.
Like Larry Zonka, but not.
Yeah. He's so shifty. But like that, I just don't understand. Like, and I think this feeds into like how bullshit this whole neoliberal like colorblind thing is we have going in a lot of spaces in the United States. That why is this a discussion? Yeah. This kid hasn't even graduated high school. And the jump from the high school game, I don't give a shit if you moved from Maine, where you were the biggest, tallest, best player on the court, to Monteverdi, which produces a stupid amount of college talent every year. How is he going to, translate his game to the ACC, right? Because it may be trash in football, but in basketball, the ACC is still one of the top 2 conferences in the country.
Yeah.
And the thing is, he's not going to be able to play the same type of ball at Duke that he's playing now. Duke they have 5 stars all up and down that roster. Yeah. McDonald's blue chip All-Americans all up and down that roster. Bro, he could get lost in the sauce easily his freshman year, where he only pulls down a couple rebounds, scores a couple points, maybe plays 10 to 12 minutes a game.
He's 6'9". He was the McDonald's MVP, All-American. He's 6'9", power forward. He was the McDonald's MVP at the MVP at the McDonald's All-American game. He was the high school player of the year for the nation. He's the number 1 player coming out. But I think back to this idea of it's just, meritocratic success. First of all, he didn't stay in state. He didn't play at his local high school. And no one's asking why. It's just such a foregone conclusion that, of course, he'd go to one of these top prep schools that produces first-round talent.
Yep.
No one's really talking about that. And I find that interesting. No one's talking about the fact that a lot of these players, these great white hypes these guys love talking about, they have families with some money. They can pay for a certain amount of personal training. Especially, we've talked about this before. We're seeing so many children of athletes. I was watching it in baseball, but I didn't know Bud Black's son is a pitcher for the Giants.
Yeah, shocker. Apple didn't fall far from the tree, did it?
Yeah, he has the same windup as his pop. So, this basketball, maybe it's more obvious because there's only 12 players. In the NFL, a lot of people can get lost. But we played that thing last week on the show where we were showing some of the top preps coming out that were related to, if not NFL players, NBA players playing football.
Yeah, and that's been the big discourse this week because Chris Long, former defensive end for the Rams, Eagles, and Patriots.
Whose dad is a Hall of Famer.
And who had 2 other brothers that played in the league. He went on a podcast and said, you plug an NFL player onto a basketball court, they'd be okay. But if you put an NBA player on a football field, they get smoked. And when people brought up like Antonio Gates and Tony Gonzalez, keep in mind, both played basketball at their respective
high
colleges.
levels. Yeah.
Okay. Antonio Gates maybe a little more because he played in the MAC. So you again, big fish, small conference type thing. Gonzalez was a power forward. He was like an 8-8 guy on some really good Cal teams. People brought them up and they were like, well, they look at the position they played. Power forward is perfect to transition to tight end. He's like, but put like one of these taller point guards on the field and have him line up as a wideout. And it's like, dude, you can't compare the two.
They're very different.
Very different sports that have very different skill sets, right? But I mean, look at LeBron. He literally won Mr. Football in Ohio his senior year.
Damn. As a tight end?
Wideout tight end, yeah.
Damn.
The athleticism's there, but he chose to focus on the sport that was more conducive, honestly, to him having longevity in a league and where he could build up, the fabulous wealth that he has now and kind of plant the seeds for like his his movie company and all that other stuff. You're not doing that in football because the money's not there. You're not making $1 billion.
The money's not guaranteed, and neither is the longevity of your life. And if we think about the maturation of even, let's say, black athletes, like, would Muhammad Ali be a boxer? What was he, 6'5"?
Yeah.
At 6, if he's born in 87, does he just go play football?
Can you imagine just if his folks just even had $3 to their name? I mean,
Yeah.
when he started boxing, it was cheap. You just had to get gloves, right?
Where's the
And
nearest gym? Is there any gyms in the inner city by you?
oh, dude, the last boxing gym in Fayetteville closed and became an MMA gym.
Awesome.
So that's where it was. Like that was a transition. But back in the day, you had boxing gyms in just medium-sized towns, right? But imagine if his folks just had a couple bucks where they could have gotten him into a team sport. It might have been a lot different. But I mean, I'm glad we got the Muhammad Ali we got.
Yeah, yeah. But I'm just saying it was so different.
Yeah.
He can get into a sport that's not that expensive. And there was a time where if you were good enough in your area, scouts came out to see you.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I mean, and also you got to think too, this is just a couple years post segregation when Ali starts going pro, when his name's getting out there. And at this point, not all schools are desegregated. And a lot of the segregated schools for Black students barely had any funding for team sports. So you missed a whole generation of kids who may have been phenomenal athletes. The opportunity to play just wasn't there. I mean, shit, North Carolina didn't officially completely desegregate until 1979.
I was alive.
Yeah, that's when they
I was
that's when they integrated their last segregated school. So in a lot of these states, especially in the South, I mean, you got to think North Carolina is not even deep South. How many schools in the deep South were segregated into the 80s?
Or self-segregating, right?
I mean, it was North Carolina just didn't enforce any of the federal law, until they absolutely had to. Like literally, Department of Justice noticed. They're like, "Hey, man, you still got a segregated school." And North Carolina was like, "Ugh, fine," that's how a lot of the deep South schools were. And then you get into what we call self-segregation, and honestly, that came down because the way that the Department of Education, we'll just call it that because there's different names for each state. But DOE funding goes, whoever's in charge of the DOE is in charge of what schools get funded. We like to point out, in metrics, cost per student. Bro, I'm gonna tell you right now, there are schools that get 4 times the amount per student than other schools. So let's not act like it's equal across the board. Let's not do that. But I mean, this is America, and that people are naive and apathetic. So when they see cost per student, they think every student's getting that from every school. No.
I mean, I actually think that we're going to see more Cooper flags, just because he has a certain access. We were talking again last week when I was speaking with Bird, and he was talking about the coaching kids with money get for academics, having New York Times writers and published authors help you write an essay, give you crazy data to find out how you have to answer certain questions in your interview so you can get into certain schools because you know what they're looking for. That's an advantage that kids that don't have that money for, and it's expensive.
Yeah, I learned they're called entrance specialists. It's actually a really fast growing economy right now. It's not just you paying out the nose for SAT and ACT prep. It's not you paying out the nose for LSAT and GRE prep. You have entrance specialists that charge you by the hour for tutoring and, like you said, coaching and entrance interviews for your essay that you have to submit to certain school. It's fucking ridiculous. And that goes down to us commodifying everything.
The student is a product. The student is product and has been for some time. But I think we have to look at it that way. And I think we have to look at sports a little differently, because playing sports for fun, which was a thing we did when we were little, everybody watching the show, when you were little, you got these things, a Nerf something. You got a wiffle ball bat and ball, and you just had fun.
Yeah.
There was no, hey, you can't throw the wiffle ball because you have a game this week in Little League. I can't have you throw out your arm trying to throw a curve behind your best friend.
Yeah, dude, where my kids play, where they live, they put out like some of the top like little league teams in both baseball and softball. Like it's stupid competitive, and they're playing t-ball, Jason, t-ball, and you have dads and moms throwing fucking fits. And my daughter played for 2 years. My son played for 3 until he got to like coach pitch. And some other parent started screaming at my son because like I just wanted my kids to go, like, you know, they're homeschooled. So I wanted them to go out and just have fun with other kids. Right. And I told them, hey, when it's not fun, you don't have to play anymore. I'm not going to push this on you. I won't, you know? And like, that's why my daughter quit playing baseball. She started playing soccer. She did that for like 3 or 4 years. And then she's like, Dad, I'm just not athletic. I don't want to do this. And I'm like, you know what, kid, that's okay. You know, no, it's good to know your limitations. But this dude like starts screaming at my kid. Right. And I got up and, you know, their mom was like, please don't make a scene. I was like, I won't. So like, I was still smoking at the time. And I noticed this dude smoked too. And like, we stepped behind these porta potties and I walked over there and I lit a cigarette. And he's like, what's going on, man? Can you believe that kid? And I think he just didn't leg it out to second because he didn't know if he could make it in time. So he was just going to stay at first, you know?
And he's 6?
Yeah, he was 6 at this time.
Oh, what an idiot player.
Yeah. The fact that he stopped because he was like, I don't want to make an out, I think goes to show he's actually trying to learn the game. Right.
Jesus.
And I was like, yeah, man, that's my kid. And he kind of looks at me and I was like, I swear to God, dude, if I hear you yell at any point during the rest of this season, I was like, I will beat the fuck out of you after the last game in front of God and country. I don't give a shit. I was like, I'll go to jail. And Kale's coach was a fucking cop. Who would
I
come
see
to
nothing. I see nothing.
He would come to games on shift to coach. So he's in uniform, complete with like service pistol, cuffs, the whole thing, man. Just right. And he's like, you would get arrested for that? I'm like, dude, I would kill. I was like, I would burn down this entire city for my children. So go ahead and open your fucking mouth again. I was just like, don't let it happen. Because I was like, I'm not that guy.
But if you can't even, when I was a dude, wherever school you went to, there was different levels of athletics, right? In high school.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? And I did not go to a athletic powerhouse high school unless you played girls volleyball. Our girls volleyball team produced a lot of D1 talent. That being said, people that played football didn't go to the league, didn't go to the next level. They just had fun. That's what you did. You played to have fun. If you played baseball, you played to have fun. Hey, we're going to hoop. There's a whole team full of 5'8" dudes.
Let's fucking roll.
Let's just fucking play.
Just a bunch of me out
four
there.
Corners, a lot of 4 corners, a lot of low scoring games.
I look like Jim Carrey and Cable Guy out there trying to guard you.
I can't imagine what it's like now because the stakes are so high for young people because you have us as parents who are part of a generation where fun has been eliminated.
Yeah.
We only see the world kind of through this lens of individual success. So to give you an example, there's a lot of wearable technology that's next level. And I was watching the thing, Max Brown, the former USC Pitt quarterback, has a great YouTube channel if you're a fan of college sports in general, especially football. And he was talking about why 40 time is very irrelevant because there's a little tank top these players wear that tracks their time during a whole game. I did not know that. I didn't know it was wearable technology. Maybe you knew that. I didn't know that.
Dude, it's getting absolutely crazy. There's sensors in shoulder pads now, right? To essentially track your trajectory on a tackle. And that way you can be gigged on if you did like improper form.
I mean, we don't want to see any more broken necks. I haven't seen a vertebrae injury in some time.
Probably since that dude in Detroit.
Yeah. That again, some of these things are there. It's the technology to me is interesting. But that being said, there's been wearable technology in basketball for a while too, with the ball. And so they have it in soccer as well. Yep. And there was a commercial and it's a father and he's going, my son wanted to play soccer and I don't know anything about soccer. My son was new to soccer. and we got this ball, the smart ball, and now my son's the best player on the field. And it shows the kid in front of a screen, and he's playing with this smart soccer ball in the house, and the screen is telling him how to move, and he's doing all this fancy stuff with the ball, and the kid can't be more than like 5 or 6. And back to the whole your kid as 6 years old and stops. We played this clip the other day. Someone said it was a high school game. I think it's junior, but maybe it's a high school game. I don't know. For American Legion. I don't fucking know or care. But anyway, I don't know if I sent it to you. I swear I sent it to you. Where there's a runner on second. The catcher sees the runner get a big jump and fake like he's going. The shortstop moves into position. The catcher jumps up on the pitch. Batter, horrible reflexes, doesn't move. So the catcher turns to throw the runner out at third.
Oh, drilled him.
Do you want to see it? Should I play it?
Yeah. And DF was right. Ryan Shazier for the Steelers. He was the last one. He was the linebacker from Ohio State.
How many? That was what, over 10 years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, about 10 years ago. Dude. I thought it was pretty rad when he got back up on his feet and he got to do the coin toss for the Steelers game. That was pretty rad. I loved Ryan Shazier, man. He was a Buckeye. Dude was a hard-nosed dude. Kind of goofy looking. He didn't have eyebrows. No offense, Ryan Shazier. I love you.
Ryan Shazier's going to come to the red zone.
He's going to beat my ass.
I'm trying to find this in my hold on. Be entertaining for a second, Mac.
Okay. Yeah, but I mean, that's what kills me. We've got this horrible like sense of entitlement, right? As some parents, to where you think that at a T-ball game, it's okay to just go screaming at children that aren't yours. And like, I get it. There's a lot of high stakes Little League baseball in Hope Mills, North Carolina. I'm well aware. Phenomenal teams come out of the area that go and play national tournaments. They've won quite a few, but like, this is T-ball, bro. Like, why in the fuck? See, I'm not wrong, am I, Hunter? Like, it's kind of disconcerting, but he was a hell of a linebacker at Ohio State and would have had a great career, barring that injury. He was phenomenal. Yeah, even then, Jacob, why scream at your kids playing T-ball? This is at the point where they're supposed to be learning the game, and on top of that, there's coaches on the field to do that, right? It's nuts. Well, I mean, DF, I get that, but the fact of the matter is, I think it had more, especially knowing the Rooney family that owns the Steelers have always done a good job of taking care of their own. So like, and I get what you're talking about, and I could see your point of view there, but I thought it was good for a guy that was told you're not going to walk, to be back up on his feet and being where, honestly, let's face it, if Ryan Shazier had his druthers, he'd still be playing football.
All right, Mac, are you ready for this?
Yes, let's see it.
I've watched this at least 100 times now, and every time I can't stop yelling, "Go fuck." Oh, fuck! Gotta watch it again. Oh, fuck! Oh. Bang! Right in the kisser.
Oh my God. Dude, I've been to war and have heard bullets hit people that weren't that loud. Holy shit. Oh.
Pow! Right in the kisser.
Oof. Oh my gosh.
Jacob says, "Are we in the champagne room?"
Well, Jacob, at least it's sports related this time.
Nuri Yang says, "They're dead, aren't they?"
Oh my God. Restarted that heart. Absolutely, Cleveland. Absolutely. Showing snuff movies.
Dude, hey, this is, to me, that is the epitome of amateur athletics that I actually kind of enjoy, right?
Okay.
That people aren't, the reflexes aren't there. They're learning how to play still, and some players are better than other players. And he'll get down. I said this last night on the show. I watched a softball game. I dated a woman that played, or a young girl, right, that played softball when I was in high school. She was a pitcher, and I can't remember the team my school was playing, but it was a home game for us. And the third baseman was not throwing very high. Just took the pitcher right out.
Oh,
trying to just just took the pitcher the fuck out.
Oh, man, dude.
And that's amateur sports, right? And I don't want that person to quit, right? And say, maybe I'm not good enough for this. It's like, so what? Just play.
Yeah.
Have fun. Learn how to work with other people.
Yeah, and that's like the thing. It's just like, dude, it's part of your, like kind of socialization as you get older, and that's the thing. Like when we start specializing these things, and I call it weaponizing, and that's what I actually think it is, right? It's weaponizing sport. When we've allowed the specialization of it to where only people with money can have access to it. What we've essentially done is taken a socialization and recreational tool away from people who don't have the money to fund that kind of lifestyle, right? And keep in mind, we just, I remember my senior year of high school, and I went to a smaller school, right? That we're talking because, when there's a deficit, what do the states always ask first? Education, always, right? They'll give billions of dollars in tax breaks or just outright billions of dollars to companies that never set up shop there, but that company got the money, and it leaves us kind of like, what the fuck? But they started pay to place for sports, and when you look at a sport like football, when the school stops, purchasing the helmets, the pads, and the spikes, right? And it's up to the parent to do that. You're going to price out almost like a large part of the people that could have played, and the thing is, when you look at like AAU basketball, right? What do you need for basketball? You need space, you need sneakers, you need jersey and shorts.
Yep.
Right. Well, yeah, that's cheap to come through, but guess what? You're going to pay an exorbitant fee just to be a part of the league. Right. And I've come to find out that AAU basketball, when we're talking about like traveling sports, is just behind junior hockey when you're talking about cost per player to the family. And that's why I think we've hammered on this point, and I think you were great for bringing it up. We're just going to see like kind of like the specialized class of amateur athlete, and I say that like at the junior or the high school level, that come from pro athletes because they can afford that extra coaching. They can afford those AAU teams. They can afford the travel leagues.
They can afford to move with their child to a different region of the country if their child wants to go to an elite prep school, so they can be looked at as possibly a first round, not a first round, but go to an elite college.
Well, dude, look at IMG Academy in Florida.
Oh,
half the players there are boarded. Their families don't even come down. How much do you think that fucking costs?
Exactly.
Like
I'm sure they give scholarships here and there, right? I'm sure there's.
Well, I mean, there's probably a certain amount of scholarships.
But do you need to? Because you have Patrick Mahomes. That's not hard times, Pat.
What are you talking about? He grew up on the mean streets of Texas.
Of Milwaukee? Where I forget where he grew up in Texas, right?
Yeah, he only went to Tech because that was the only place in Texas that would offer him a scholarship.
I mean, his dad played big time MLB baseball.
Yeah, he played in Cleveland for a few years. He played in Milwaukee, Minnesota. The thing is, Pat Mahomes Sr. Pat Mahomes Jr., excuse me, the dad. You know what he had going for him? He was a lefty at a time when there weren't a lot of lefty relief pitchers, and it kept him in the league for 13 years. You know?
Your dad had a 13-year MLB career. Your life's a little different.
Yeah.
You know, you're not rough times Pat. But that game that he has, how many people would have said he's just like he's playing on the mean streets of
gated community
of Dallas?
Yeah, you know, like
so we're not really talking about the class issue here, and we're also not talking about the fact that young people are getting bullied out of fun.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. It's just like, that's the ridiculous thing. We've got, you know, there's a lot we're dealing with just as a society, right? There are very few things that you can find that you can actually enjoy that don't cost you a shit ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
For me these days, I just stay home and read. I'm like, I go to the gym. I feel much better throughout the day. I'm trying to get like good looking enough by like early September when the weather's still nice. I can peel my shirt off and women are like, I'll take them home for a night, you know, like, you know, and I set my goal for this year is to read 35 books. I'm already 14 down, which I think is pretty good, you know, but like a lot of the other shit I used to like we got a single A baseball team here in Fayetteville that's 20 minutes away from me. And I can't just swing tickets anymore.
For single A ball?
Yeah.
Jesus.
You know, I was looking to take the kids and it would have cost me almost $60 just for tickets for the three of us. You know, and it's just like, this is ridiculous, you know, and we're seeing it more and more. And Dr. Walt and I talked about this on the episode of TIR we did, where stadiums aren't meant for us anymore.
No,
they're meant for people with money to be seen at like a public event. But like, look at concessions at a lot of like, we'll use the Warriors' new stadium, right?
Sure.
Friend of mine went last week of the season. You know, Warriors are technically out of it. You know, they might make the play-in, looking very down, right? And he's like, dude, the cheapest drink I could find was a bottle of water for $11.50.
I believe that.
And I was like, how much was the booze? He's like, oh, I got my girlfriend a glass of wine for $20. And literally, Jason, they just cracked the bottle open, like one of those little ones, and poured it in a plastic wine glass.
Yeah, what do you think she was gonna get?
You know,
what she thinks she was gonna get for $20. Look, man, that the company I was working for before the lockdown. Actually, I think I've said this on air. I turned down the job to run the point of sales at that arena to tour Brazil.
I think you made the right decision.
You know, sometimes my poverty disagrees with me.
Well, yeah, but see, you're gonna have experiences, man. And when you're dying in your hovel on your deathbed, you'll have great stories to tell everybody.
I may not have had health care to stop the cancer, but my God, I got to see the what? And that's the last word.
Yeah. I may not have had health care to stop the cancer, but my dick's been. Hey, Hunter, it's not just savage towards Jason. I'll be in the bunk next to him. Okay, we'll both be in that office. Because real estate is so expensive. It's going to take two of us to rent
Hunter,
out.
Here's the reality of the kid that can't afford to play sports, that doesn't get the job with healthcare, that doesn't get a home, that has to rent forever, and then they get dementia at 60. Their children can't afford to take them in or take care of them. You know, in 20 years, you'll be able to go to a assisted dying center. And that's the resolution for a useless population.
Yeah. I mean, dude, this is what kills me. In the last 2 weeks, I've heard more about we have to replace the population, like we have to increase our birth rates, you know, the typical like white supremacist bullshit. And it's coming from
the Gen Z people aren't fucking enough. Yeah.
I mean, they're fucking, they just know I don't want kids. So they're bagging it up and
pulling out way early,
you know? Yeah. They're like, we did get the plan B, right? They're like, yeah, fuck. Okay. We got it. I promise. And they stopped mid-coitus just to pull it off the nightstand. They're like, look, it's right here. you know. But yeah, they just know that having kids is expensive as fuck. I mean, what I don't understand what these fuckers want. You're pricing people out of homes, you're pricing people out of fucking recreational activities, you're pricing people out of life. What do you expect them to do? Be happy about their plight? Fuck that. You know, like it's just ridiculous, man. Like, and that's when, you know, I got a couple, you know, friends that are from like, you know, Central Africa. You know, they went back home after they left the military, and, you know, they get disability every month. So they're great, you know. But I'm like, listen, dude, I hate to say this, but living in the DRC is a lot different than living in the States. And I get it, the poverty's, you know, much more endemic there, but we have an economy that literally rolls through trillions of dollars a year. And we spend 1 trillion, and I mean it's 1 trillion between the actual DoD and the partnered funds between them and the Department of Energy to house nuclear weapons. We pay out a trillion of that. That's almost a third of the US's budget, right? For defense. Like, come on, give me a fucking break. And what have we started doing because of our horrible political system, where honestly our representatives, senators, and presidents should have to wear their suits with the corporate logos like NASCAR's, so we know who they're actually representing, because it sure in the fuck isn't us. You know, this is the end state of what they want. This is their form of population control. They can sit there and talk about, you know, our plummeting birth rate. It's because we can't afford to have kids.
Is it that we can't afford? And this is where the conversation, I think, I haven't heard anybody have. Is it that you truly can't afford to have kids? Or is it that the conversation is you can't have kids? Because you don't have to be a millionaire to have kids. It helps. You had kids and you were not a millionaire.
No,
you weren't even 100,000 hour.
But you know what I had? I had a steady income provided by the federal government, which I.
But it wasn't 6 figures.
Oh fuck no! But I was pulling that, dude. My last.
You don't have to say what it was. You don't have to say what it was.
No, my last 2 years in the military, between base pay, basic allowance for housing, and basic allowance for for food, I was pulling down about $63,000 a year. I haven't cleared 30 since I got out.
I mean, that's the ebb and flow of life, right?
Yeah, but see, what do they tell veterans? You're going to get hired, man. It's going to happen. Every company wants a veteran. No, they fucking don't.
Like, what year is this? This is 48?
Unless you have a cert, right? Like an actual certification that you can take into the civilian world. Nobody gives a fuck. Right. And 90% of the jobs in the military 90% of the jobs in the Army, I should say, and probably the Marine Corps as well. You don't get a cert. You don't get shit. You get a DD-214 and they send you out into the world. And then you have to fight a year and a half like I did just to get your VA claim in. You know, like it's nonsense. But see, the thing is that kind of thing is more common, not even just veteran communities, everywhere. I mean, look at job postings now. This is for a paid internship of $15 an hour. I need you to have 5 years experience to intern. Fuck you, man.
But this is kind of what I'm getting into. If you think about, especially young people, I can't afford to have a kid. And I'm like, well, tell me the expenses that you think are involved in a child, because maybe you really can't. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that just can't. My daughter definitely, children are so far from her imagination at 25. She's still trying to finish school. And her boyfriend for that.
I respect the shit out of that, because like,
and she's the oldest, and she's like, I don't want, she goes, Dad, you just keep popping them out. So it's like there's a 20-year difference between me and my youngest brother.
That's what I was gonna say. Like she's the one that's like looking down. She's like, how old are you? 3?
Yeah. She's like, you know, God forbid you fall in love again. But you can have a child, but do you want to have a child and have Cooper flag is the question. And is the only way you can see reproduction or even marriage in a business sense. And I was having a conversation with Bert Cooper the other day, and we were going down this. I wish I could play some of these. All we do, and this is even dumber, you people will laugh. We send each other voice notes back and forth, right? And we do this, no bullshit, Mac. We'll do it throughout the day. And sometimes one of us will just call the other one and be like, I figured I'd just call you. This is easier. Yeah. But I wanted to kind of make a compilation of some of these things because we were talking about, and I got into this a little bit on the show last night. The idea of songs about being in love have been replaced for songs about just kind of debaucherous sex or a relationship as a business agreement. Bonnie and Clyde, Jay-Z and Beyonce. It's kind of like, well, this just sounds like your guys are business partners. It doesn't really sound like
you guys signed a contract to have X amount of children and split X amount of
it just sounds like it just makes sense business-wise. Yeah. It doesn't seem like this isn't Firehouse. I finally found the love. Remember that song? Of a lifetime. All those wedding songs. What wedding song is Taylor Swift made? Shake It Off.
If you really want to be a dick, you could. I'm the one where she's like, "I'm the problem, it's me," and the groom can just be like, "That's her completely."
You guys all heard this? Like seriously, like I think and people still fall in love and people still get married for the quote unquote right reasons. But my point is, from a cultural standpoint, when I hear over and over people say, well, I can't afford to do X, Y, and Z, and I'll never have this, I'll never have that. It's like, maybe you won't have all the great shit, and maybe you won't have a professional athlete or a senator's son, but that doesn't mean your kid is going to suck.
I think it has more to do, like I grew up fucking dirt ass poor, right? Mm-hmm. I was like, I'm not going to raise kids like that. Like, I don't want my kids to grow up the way I did. And, I know just whether they're, non-veteran or veteran friends, a lot of them came from nothing. And they're like, I don't want my kids to grow up that way either. Well, the good ones, I should say, the ones I still associate with. Because a lot of people are like, well, growing up hard is good. It builds character. And I'm like, dude, fuck you, man. You know what it was like to eat dog food because that's all we had? Yeah, dude, hard dog food. When we couldn't afford food. We used to have a dog. And we just had a giant bag of dog food left. So we dumped water on it and ate it.
Oh.
Did that for like a week before my folks got paid again. My mom got paid again. So we can actually get some food. But like a lot of people that came from, rough living don't want kids to grow up that way because
that's true.
It's fucking rough. And it really does have it has an outcome on how children develop. And yeah, you get used to living hard, right? But the fact of the matter is this, you don't want people growing up hard. I don't want people growing up that way. That fucking sucks. I missed out on a lot as a kid because we just didn't have the money. And especially now with how kind of politically polarized we are, you have a lot of people, that honestly think like us, that are just like, you know what, my family's a bunch of like Trump dick sucking chuds. I'm not going to have anything to do with them. So now you don't have the extended family to lean into to help out, like maybe with childcare, or you can.
Oh yeah, there's definitely a lot of like, I think in this country we don't look at generational living as a positive. I think we're finally. I see people go, I'm living with my mom, or I'm living back with my folks again, and it's always a defeat in the voice. Whereas where I live currently in Mexico, there's no defeat whatsoever. And people that even do well in Mexican standards enjoy living next to their relatives, if not living with their relatives. It's like, let's get a big house, if you have means, and we can all live together.
Well, dude, honest, not to interrupt, but I attribute that to the whole Ayn Randian thought that has really enveloped American conservatism.
Yes.
To be considered a success, we have to eschew communal living. We have to strike out on our own, make it big, and not worry about what other people are doing. And it's like, dude, that is not how society operates, right? That's like when I hear people say I'm a libertarian, I immediately write them off for being one of the dumbest people on the planet. And,
That's fair.
you know, and that you should literally have to put your hand up and be called upon to speak, right? Like, it's just that it goes down to that, like, I think now, especially with this younger generation, who, we can be in the old crotchety dude, like, what you won't ever hear me bitch about? Younger kids, man, they are more politically active. They are more involved. Not all of them, but like I went to college with a lot of, with some of them, and I've seen it. We've seen it on campuses over the last month. They're living together, man. And they realize, yeah, it sucks when we have a little bit of space, but you know what we have? We have a roof over our head. We can pitch in together, fucking make sure we're fed, like I think we're seeing kind of a sea change now. And honestly, maybe that is a matter of circumstance, or it's a matter of kind of giving the big fucking middle finger to boomers, who've drilled all this bullshit and nonsense into the American consciousness that we're all figuring out is 100% bullshit. George Carlin said it best. It's called the American dream because you have to be asleep to believe it, and we're seeing that now. We are absolutely seeing that.
I mean, there's a comment on the screen by brother David Epps. I think our generation is fine with it. Our parents will make you feel like a failure, though. Being a successful person means becoming an atomized consumption unit. That's a big problem. And I think because we can only see the world kind of through this neoliberal lens, the neoliberal realism is something that doesn't get talked about as much because everybody kind of reverts back to Fisher's theory. And there becomes this weird, almost, I don't want to say conflation, but an understanding then of like real leftism is foundationism. Foundationism will save us, right? Like think about BLM, for example. What did those women say when they first came on the scene? We're trained Marxists. What the fuck does that mean? I keep looking for Marxist assassins, but I haven't found one. Or that being said,
or Marxist training centers, like I'm still trying to find one.
They get a bunch of money. They kneecap. They're a big part of the kneecapping of the Sanders campaign in 2016 and 2020.
Yeah. And
they just get sucked up into the Democratic Party, the trained Marxists. So unless they're trained sleeper cells, and in November they all activate when Trump gets elected and just fucking start ninja massacring the shit out of everybody, unless that happens, then we kind of start to believe that the answer is in things like, oh, NGOs will save us. The NGO with the right slogan is the way to go.
Yeah. I mean, and this is the rub of all of it, right? Is that we have sit here, and I say we, it's the big American we, okay? And we're going to go from boomers. You start seeing this kind of thought process tail off a little bit with Gen X, because they just became very jaded very quick. Then you have the millennials, Gen Z, and then going into these younger, we're seeing the fallacy of representative democracy in the United States. Oof. Right? When we have a country of 330 million and there's 220 million, maybe between 210 and 220 million people of voting age that are able to vote. And in presidential elections, we can barely get 45% of that to show up to vote. People are like, well, it's apathy. And I used to think that. I'm like, no, the younger kids know that I'm not going to be politically represented. So what's the point? Right? Like when people ask, how do you vote? I say, I vote in local and state elections. Every federal office, I leave blank on the ballot. They're like, well, why? Because I'm more affected by local and state laws. Well, why won't you vote for president? Why the fuck would I vote for two fucking octogenarians who don't even know where they're at? I had a friend that's like, you want to watch the debate on June 27th. Why? Because their handlers are going to be behind them the entire time saying, hey, we're here in this state, in this city. and we're talking about housing. And then Biden's going to be like, yeah, listen, Jack, I was in favor of the global war on President Biden. It's 2024. What? It's 2020.
It's 2020. There's a black man that did what? You were his vice president. Shut up, Jack. Talking that science fiction shit around me.
We developed time machines. What? That, and that's what we're getting. And then you have we're getting younger representatives into the House, right? Well, here's the kicker in all this. When this country was formed, each representative only represented between 5,000 and 8,000 people. The average now is over 100,000. You're not representing anybody at that point. And then we're so short-sighted as a government that we cap the number of House members.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Mm-hmm.
The United Kingdom has over 720 members of their House of Commons for a country of 54 million people. We have 330 and we're capped at 435. What the fuck? That's the dumbest shit ever. And people are like, what would you do if you were in charge? Dude, I'm immediately removing that cap. I'm going to expand the House to the point where each rep is only representing about 5,000 people. I'm getting rid of the fucking Senate. That is just fuck. That is a warehouse for fucking morons. Ted Cruz, Mitch McConnell, fucking Feinstein. It's just it's time to start drumming these old fucks out. And on top of that, I'd eliminate fucking lifetime appointments to the Supreme Court, because if you're an actual representative democracy, there should be no lifetime anything, period. And then you expand the size of the court. I mean, those
okay, go ahead.
It's not going to be perfect, but on top of that, I would remove all requirements for parties to get on ballots. There should not be a requirement. You should not have to get signatures for that. You should just have to file your paperwork and fucking run.
Yeah. Yeah. To get a third party, and it's such a fucking bear. And there's such a machine too for the two-party system. But let's circle back to what we were talking about before.
What, tall white guys on basketball courts?
Yes. Hey, 1954 all over again, brothers. It's over. It's over. Let it go. Let it go.
They're coming back.
You know how the conversation started? Me and Bert, I sent Bert a video of these young white girls dancing, and they were dancing really, really well. But I'm sure you've seen some kids dancing videos.
Oh, yeah.
It's not dancing like you could do with a partner. They're doing backflips and all that kind of shit. And I sent the joke was, I sent it to him. I was like, they don't build white girls like they do anymore since 2020. They're building them different nowadays. And then that started a whole conversation about music and dancing and how people don't want to dance with each other. Toussaint said something to me the other day, because we were talking again about this whole there's no more songs about being in love, to the point where being in love is looked at as whack. And I want to play this clip for you that I saw that this teacher made about junior high students. And I want to get your reaction to it, because it hit me, because Toussaint had said something. She goes, there's a point in the late 90s where hip hop becomes so masculine and it dominates, I guess you could say, a culture. And R&B is then the feminine. And she goes, look at what's still popular. It sure as fuck ain't Blackstreet.
No, that's a really good point. That's a really good point.
It's so hyper masculine. Think about this for a second. I'm sure you guys have thought about this for a second. That anything young kids do, pause, no homo, pause, no, what?
Yeah.
So I want you to take a look at this clip. It kind of fucked me up, because this gentleman, it first comes off like it's going to be one of those things where some sassy black man is being a stereotype. That's how I looked at it, because I was being a piece of shit. And sometimes I'm a piece of shit. We got to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, everybody is at certain points, man. You're just
I know it all, and I'm just fuck this guy. And I sat there and listened to him, and it literally touched me as a human being, because ultimately he's just asking, he's going, I cannot train your child to be a decent human. That's not my job, and I shouldn't. You don't want that to be my job. And they're not afraid of you. And then he goes on to say, I don't mean afraid you're going to beat the shit out of them, because I don't want that. I wasn't afraid that my father would beat the shit out of me. I was afraid that I would disappoint my father. Oof. And that's way worse to me.
Dude, you know, I was not a yeller or screamer. I was in the infantry, but like when a dude fucked up, I would just go up to him and be like, you know what, man, not mad. And you could see the look of relief on their face. And then you drop, I'm just really disappointed, and just deflate them.
Like that, for like, to me, there's a few people in my life I never wanted to let down. My grandmother and my dad, definitely. I remember I got a D in school, and he looked at me. He's like, I already got a job. I don't really, you can fail all you want. It doesn't affect me. I was like, oh, man.
It's like, that's the one that knocks the wind out of you. And
yeah, you're like, just like, hey, I'm going to be fine. I got a house and shit. I'm fine. Nigga, this is for you. You might want to get that shit right on your own. Like, that's all he had to say. And I was like, fine.
Jason goes up to his room and is just like, God damn it.
Do homework now, man. Fuck.
I was supposed to get my dick sucked, but I'm gonna
gonna go to the greatest party in the world, and everybody was gonna go. It was gonna be a blow off. There's a bunch of girls like,
Dad, what's the chemical balance of potassium? Shut up, do your homework. All right.
So check this man out right here, and props to this man. I'm so glad he made this video. Check this woman's face. I wish I'd like get it out of the screen, because this is a little cootie. But sorry.
Bad as fuck, bitch. They bad as fuck. I don't understand. If I got paid for the amount of times that I have to say sit down and be quiet, bitch, I would never have to teach again for the rest of my motherfucking days. Y'all kids do not follow simple fucking instructions. Like, I cannot make this shit up. Sit down, hush, stop hitting her, stop hitting him. Keep your hands to yourself. I don't understand. And they don't understand the liability and the ramifications of it all. Like, girl, you in here punching this boy in his motherfucking head. Now, if he get up and knock your ass out, they gonna be looking at me like, why you ain't stop? I've been telling this shit the fuck out. Administration ain't no motherfucking help, because as soon as you send them out, they sending them right back to your classroom to do the same thing that you just sent them out for. And don't say, call me, call home, call home, call home. I call home. She not scared of you, baby. She said, call you. She said, because you're not going to do nothing. She told me to call you. No, I'm not saying your child should fear you. I'm not saying your child should ever be scared of you, but there should be some type of structure, some type of discipline to know that if I'm finna get on the phone with this boy, my mama, my daddy, I need to straighten up. They don't call my mama, call my daddy. I don't give a fuck. They ain't gonna do nothing. She ain't gonna do nothing but take my phone for a day. Y'all kids bad as fuck for a day. What? These young ladies, Sexy Red, Natalie Nunn, Liddy, Ivory, Cashmere, have them in a chokehold. I ain't named nobody who y'all probably even know. Why is your 12 and 13-year-old little girl in here talking about baddie shot o'clock? Bitch, if you don't baddie your ass to a motherfucking seat, you don't know what a motherfucking withdrawal or a deposit is, but you can tell me what's Pound Town. Just left Pound Town. Don't piss me off in here. Y'all are so busy trying to teach y'all kids not to be gay that they have nothing but gay thoughts all motherfucking day. If I'm not mistaken, you know what? These kids. These young men won't even bend down to pick up a pencil because they think somebody looking at their ass. Who's looking at you in here? Said that they can't, their dads, they call him, you call your dad Da because you can't say dad or daddy. That's gay. We reading a problem in the book. It said Big D takes whatever. Big D takes $22 out of whatever. It was just a nickname for the boy. Big D pause. It's a fucking question in the book. For a day. What? Today we watching Ratatouille. I forgot which scene it was, but he said something like, "Oh, he takes a lot," or "He takes it all," or something. They was talking about fucking food. He got all the boys in the class. Oh, no Diddy. Bitch, if y'all, it's Ratatouille, bitch, shut up! Why you so busy trying to make him so hyper masculine, you ain't doing shit but making him angry. To constantly be at war with your thoughts all day so you can not look gay or seem gay, that has to be exhausting. And as somebody who actually went through that, like for real, is actually gay and went through that, do you know how that mentally fucks with you to have to literally be torn in, but like all day, every day? So for y'all to actually be straight young men and be constantly consumed with gay shit, I don't fucking understand. Let cut the shit. So now my question is, who the fuck finna teach them how to act? Who? Cause bitch, I gotta get through a 7th grade curriculum. Shit, I don't fucking understand. Let cut the shit. So now my question is, who the fuck finna teach them how to act? Who? Cause bitch, I gotta get through a 7th grade curriculum with kids that's on the 3rd grade level, and I gotta teach them how to fucking act too. God damn! Can't tell me what we learned yesterday, but you can damn sure tell me who fought on South Central Baddies last night. Get me wrong. Growing up for us, it was Love and Hip Hop and Bad Girls Club. Don't get me wrong, but we was not coming to school trying to reenact Love and Hip Hop and reenact Bad Girls Club because we seen Natalie Nunn doing it. We was not doing that. That shit was not that girl. We also had home training, and we also knew you came to school with that rah-rah. Your mama and your daddy was gonna beat the fuck out you. Period. It wasn't no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If they wasn't gonna beat the fuck out you, you knew not to play with them. Don't blame now. Oh, it's not. We not talking about a curriculum now. Oh, you supposed to teach. I'm not finna teach your child how to fuck to act. That's your motherfucking job. Man, please.
Little sassy.
Yeah, but I mean, that's a good point though, is that, you know, the hyper masculinity, you know, with young men especially, there are other issues with women trying to deal with their sexuality, but with young men and that hyper masculinity, you know, like trying to act not gay, because, you know, what do we hear all the time, right? We literally, you know, we've achieved the dream of Harvey Milk. Have we? Have we really done that? Because last I checked, gay people are still assaulted. You know, gay people are still stigmatized. I think it's Arkansas or Florida, one of the two, that are getting ready to pass bills to where they, you know, it's being floated. I don't know if it'll be passed. That won't allow gays to teach. Right?
Really?
Yes.
Damn.
So where's Harvey Milk's dream at? You know, like, it's not here. We haven't hit it. You know,
would you really say that,
dude?
In 2024,
I think being gay is easier in certain parts of the country, but I wouldn't say overall we haven't hit it. Maybe it's just because I'm very pessimistic and I see what my daughter's going through, in regards to her coming out and being very happy with who she is. You know, the co-op that my kids go to, their mom got a message that said, we're going to have to discuss a few things before the beginning of next school year. And one of the people on the board were like, it's Bailey.
Your daughter?
All over her backpack are like pride flags and things like that. And in the last month or so of co-op, she started wearing a Palestinian flag on her bag. So immediately, I knew, yes, that's true.
There's a comment that says, I think Mac just lives in a really shitty part of it.
But
your daughter goes to a Christian school though, right?
Well, it's a Christian co-op, right?
Look, the white family I lived with, their middle son, who I refer to as my brother a lot, my brother Joel, went to school with an Elvis belt with his sister's jeans. This is the 2000s.
Respect, bro.
And it's the 2000s, before skinny jeans was the thing. And the vice principal went up to him. He had an Elvis belt buckle, took the belt buckle and said, there's only one king here, young man. That's Jesus. So your daughter's getting shit. It's like, yeah.
I don't want any kid to have to deal with that just to be who they are. You know, I don't want anybody to be uncomfortable.
But would you say this? And I'll play little devil's advocate. Would you say, and I agree with you, right? Nobody wants to deal with that kind of shit.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, as a young person, you are trying to agitate the power structure.
Oh, dude, absolutely. And that's my daughter. She will push any button she can.
So you go to a Christian school. You don't go to a public school. So is it really bad?
Well, I think, like I always tell her, pick and choose your battles, right? Know your audience. I had to learn that the hard way, you know. Is
there a better way to learn it?
I'd like to think that I learned how to pick and choose my battles because I was stupid for so long.
Like, is there a better way to learn it than like you learn it, right?
But
you live it.
I've noticed that a lot of the parents at this particular co-op are like, honestly, like Trump loving Christo fascists. And I'm not exaggerating. I actually heard a couple parents say, you know what we really need in the United States? For Trump and his family to become a monarchy and just be able to run everything.
That's
and I'm
frightening. That is frightening.
You know, and my daughter is not that. You know, like I said, this is the girl that came out and she was like, oh, this is easy. And I had to remind her, it's not easy for everybody. You're not allowed to say that. You know, like it's the environment you're in. I was like, your mother and I love you very much. And if you brought home a 6-armed alien that's purple with yellow polka dots, as long as this alien treats you well, we're good, you know? But you know, it's just, I'm seeing more and more, especially around, honestly, military areas.
Okay.
You're seeing a lot of leftists are in the military. Like their service kind of pushes them left. But you're also seeing the former conservative elements of the military become even more entrenched and pushing further right. And I think
tug of war.
Dude, it's nuts, right? Because what is more socialistic than the way the United States military is? Everybody makes the same pay based on your pay grade, right? Your food and housing is provided. You know, like it's all there. I had healthcare, Jason, in the military. Healthcare. You know, and Jacob, if my daughter brought back a lovely black woman, I would back her up too. Okay. You know, but we're seeing it more and more. Like we're the power structures in this country, be they police, military, you know, corporations, they're entrenching deeply. And it's kind of crazy to watch because we're watching it in real time. And I know some people would be like, corporations are always going to push right. Absolutely. But there's the occasional ones. Like I was watching on MSNBC, this billionaire was asked, you know, and he was like a hedge fund manager. He worked for like Google, one of the big tech companies, for a long time. Right. And, you know, he was asked, well, with the airlines, should we just let them go bankrupt? And he was like, fuck yes, let them die. And the host was like, really? He's like, yes. He's like, what you have to realize is a lot of these corporations don't offer pensions anymore. It's all 401k and they barely match anything. So your retirement is on you. So, but for the people that do have pensions, maybe the older workers, most of them do not have their pensions tied up in the company. It's tied up in investment outside of the company. Right. So he's like, why should we continue to bail out shitty CEOs who are bad at their jobs? Why should we continue to bail out boards of trustees for these companies that refuse to do their regulatory work to make sure this company is successful? Why should we continue to bail out all these millionaires and billionaires, but fuck the little people? He's like, yes, let these companies die. And the host was just like, what? But the economy, he's like, yeah, see, the economy, the guy flat out goes, the economy is not the stock market. So you need to stop equating the two. And he's like, do you really think Tesla is a successful company? And the host is like, well, obviously, you know, they're trying to push, the board there is trying to push forth a $54 billion a year compensation package for Elon Musk. And the dude flat out goes, no, it's not. Why is a company that builds cars for a living changing its entire maxim from we're going to build EVs to we're going to become a player in software and AI?
Because it's all about technology and disrupting markets.
Well, but on top of that, they're failing in the making the EVs part.
Yeah, dude, and people don't report all the deaths and accidents. You know, before we go here, I want to play this.
Is it Elon on stage? Because don't do that.
No, I would do that. It's like punching yourself in the dick. I was like, "Hey, Mac, punch yourself in the dick for a couple of days."
and then you throw up Elon on stage. And
then like, Elon on stage. There you go. How you doing? Happy New Year. Good to see you. No, it's a there's a show that I like, but I feel like they're always missing something, and it's a bit of a materialist analysis. It's a music show with a guy named Rick Bedio, and there's interesting conversations they have about recording and music. But he has this guy on named Ted Goya who makes some interesting points, but because the analysis is missing a materialist component, then everything boils down to kind of the morality of people. And even in these left spaces, a lot of conversation, especially around digital, comes down to the morality of people.
Yeah.
Unless you read one of these great, books by someone like Rob Larson or somebody like that or Corey, not Corey Pine. Well, Corey Pine definitely, but who's the other Corey that writes about conservatives? I can't remember his last name. And if he's watching the show, he's going to kill me. So I'm so sorry.
Corey, whose last name we can't remember. We're both older gentlemen that have.
I don't blame him. He's older than us, but
we've had a lot of head injuries, so our brain is about as smooth as a marble at this point.
So check this. This again. This is interesting. Ready? It's about Spotify.
Spotify's way of using AI. They have AI songs, they attribute them to people that don't exist, and this allows them to take royalties that would go to musicians and keep them for themselves. The story of Johan Rohr from Sweden. He has achieved 15 billion streams on Spotify. That's more than Michael Jackson and Elton John, more than ABBA. Johan Rohr never uses his own name. He has 656 different aliases. He is on 144 different official Spotify playlists. There are these games that are being played. There's no disclosure. What they're doing is not good for the music culture. This is Spotify.
That is fucking nuts.
Now, if you go on to hear the interview, even that's a little loaded because he kind of claims that Spotify is employing this person. Maybe they are. I don't know. But AI is being a big disruptor. And if you think about from the music standpoint, the Drake Kendrick battle, these guys are dropping songs left and right.
Dude,
right?
I was hoping we would manage to get through an episode considering like I don't am I the only one that's like I heard Kendrick Lamar and Drake going back and forth and I'm like I don't give a shit.
Hey, you don't have to, but here's where I think it's interesting. I don't I didn't give a shit. It wasn't like I was vested in it like I was watching. I give more of a shit about the ending of the movie Over the Top with Sylvester Stallone arm wrestling.
Yeah.
Than I do about the winner, quote unquote, of the battle.
Jason's more interested in who eats raisins between those two, and that's who he'll back up.
I'm way more, yeah. Like I don't like you don't have to give a shit about it, but I'm going to use it as an example. Usually, when you have these type of feuds in any genre of music, it takes time to get the records out. You have to get the studio time. If for hip hop purposes, you have to approve samples. So if you think back when NWA and Ice Cube were beefing, that lasted a long time. And a lot of it had to do with the fact that there's release schedules. In the digital age where there isn't any more big studios, these guys can record this stuff at home and they have the ability. They weren't releasing it on Spotify. They're releasing it on YouTube because you can't release this stuff on Spotify. There's a process to get it up on the servers, even if you are that famous.
Okay.
So they were releasing it on YouTube instantaneously, getting tens of millions of views. And it happened in a way we've never seen before. The last big hip hop battle, probably of the note where people really gave a shit, is probably Nas and Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Right. And that happened over time because, again, there was no apparatus to distribute the music out like that. You still had terrestrial radio.
Yeah.
And it's regional. So this is something new and different. We're seeing stuff come out like that. That's kind of interesting, right? Now, in that battle, a guy that's adjacent to it named Metro Boomin made a AI song called BBL Drizzy because Drake has a BBL.
He does?
Yeah, he had it's a funny song. So with AI, what can you do? Because a lot of music that sounds the same, doo-wop, certain types of electronic music, right? Anything with a wave on the end of it, synth wave, dream wave. A lot of this shit all sounds the same, right? So when you plug a lot of that stuff in, it's going to sound like music that's out now.
Yeah.
So he had a doo-wop version of the song called BBL Drizzy, right? I want a doo-wop version with like a Diana Ross type singer, and here are the words I want you to say. Then you had it like there's an R&B version of it, like a 70s R&B version of it. And it sounds great. And the song has millions of plays. You didn't need to hire musicians.
You didn't have to do shit.
You didn't have to do shit. It took you 5 minutes. That's the thing about AI that people don't talk about, right? And what people don't talk about is what people want. Nobody wants to hear anything new. No one wants to talk about anything new. No one wants to make new kind of movies. Daniel Bessner was just on the show, did a whole show about the death of Hollywood. And what were we talking about? They don't want to greenlight things that don't make money.
Yeah, they're terrified of greenlighting something new and then it not hitting. I mean, dude, but this is my big thing with AI, right? And maybe it's been talked about before. This is the thing I 100% dislike about it. I think it can be a useful tool in certain aspects.
Sure.
But what I hate about it is they're using people to program AI so that AI could then take their job.
Sure.
I don't like that. And then I have friends who, because they need to make extra money, are helping program AI, making like $20 an hour, right? So this is something they could do while they watch TV or listen to music or whatever, right? It's simple. You know, you log in, you get your project, and you do it. Now, I told one of them, I'm like, you're literally programming this thing to take your job. And they're like, what, programming AI? I'm like, no, the other stuff. You know, I was like, just wait until they start really, 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 really pushing AI into like IT. And I don't mean like they're going to be the ones like, you know, working on servers and stuff, but that level one, like that service desk is going to be AI soon. And I was like, that was your foot in the door to go on and work on other projects. And I was like, it's not going to be there anymore. So unless you have that experience already, you're not going to get those IT jobs, the ones everybody thinks are going to still be there.
Oh, dude, and look how many places AI is replacing people in the customer service realm.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my point is, what's interesting is you had this moment where all this stuff is coming out and there is no mass culture around. There's no counterculture like punk rock or even disco to a certain, degree. There's a lot of subgenres that people think are bigger than they are, but they're not that big.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I'm a huge fan of one of them, ska. Everybody's like, you can hear ska music anywhere. Yeah, in places where it's you and 6 other people listening to the band. You know, like it's true.
I mean, ska has a massive revival around groups like No Doubt and Sublime because there's a pop sensibility to what they do, and there's terrestrial radio, there's MTV, that was a massive thing. All that stuff is gone now. So if you want to go see who's a big ska, Real Big Fish, they're not really playing in rooms that big.
Dude, the ska bands I listen to now, Jason, I have an app called Bands in Town. That's the only way I know they're touring.
Yeah.
That's it. I get an update. Like, bang, they're going to be in DC, you know, and the venue I took the kids to see, We Are the Union and Kill Lincoln in DC, fit maybe 200 people. And I think there were 5 bands. So that's how they managed to get 200 people in, you know? Yeah. But you're absolutely right. There isn't a big kind of counterculture to the prevailing musical theory that we had with punk rock.
Again, circling back to Cooper Flag. If there's no money in touring, which ultimately you have to do, you can only do so much online.
Yeah.
Because the money online is in copying stuff, right? Or, hey, there's a viral video and I'll play my 8-string guitar to some guy yelling at a Wendy's. and that's going to get me 1 million views, and that'll get me enough to do the next thing. But no one's gonna listen to my shitty album. The Guardian released a really good article last month that said the working class can't afford to tour. So bands that don't have financial backing, I was going to talk about this with Daniel Besner, back to the movie thing. A lot of people in Hollywood that are writers had money. They come from some money, right? If you wanted to be a band 30 years ago, any kind of music, my friends, Living Legends, I've told the story. I'll tell you it again. Didn't pay their rent for like 6 months before they got evicted. Saved their money, went to Europe. Life changed.
Yeah.
Right? They were able to tour, have a music career, working class musicians. God bless them. They're still doing it. It's probably been 30 years. Some 30 years later.
Fuck yeah. More.
God bless them, right? But the internet was different back then. There was still a media ecosystem that helped get a certain amount of publicity. We're so atomized in this world that it's just give me more of what I'm used to.
Yeah.
And that's where AI comes in and goes, oh, you want a 11th season of The Office? Got it.
We got you.
Give you The Office, man. You want more of it? Here it is.
I mean, dude, we're seeing it with I told you with Soundgarden. Chris Cornell's widow wanted to do an album and ask the remaining band members to play, and she would have AI generate Chris Cornell's vocals. And Hiro Yamamoto and Kim Thale were both like, not just no, but fuck no. You know, like and I get it, you know, like it's something simple you could use to make money. Okay, but it goes back to what you were saying with the morality of it. Is it right? You know, and the thing is, going back to like that Ayn Randian thought, doesn't matter if it's right. It's going to make you money. So that in itself makes it a correct course of action. You know, and for me, you know, I unfortunately served 16 years in a force that was an occupying army where I was forced to, you know, carry out America's imperial adventures. So for me, my morality is especially like getting away from that finally. You know, my morality is far more important than me being a wealthy man. Maybe that's just because I'm a little older, you know, and I understand I don't typically have people of means that can say that. And I'm definitely not that dude. But I really think that, you know, we're seeing that kind of thought process kind of turned on its ear a little bit. While we are going to have a segment of the population, probably the majority of the population, that is going to really lean into like AI music and AI TV, we're seeing other people, and it's typically, honestly, people within our political orbit, that are like, this is absolutely 100% wrong, and I'm not going to partake. Now, the question of it is how long can you not partake of AI before it's forced at you?
Yeah.
And we have no choice but to use it.
So this is one of the BBL Drizzies. Again, a music genre where a lot of the music sounds very similar. There was a bit of a Fordist approach to a lot of this stuff. A lot of the same songwriters did a lot of the music, especially the Philadelphia sound, right? That's where there's a sound, and you can plug in, give me the Philadelphia sound and from 1970, blah, blah. And here's the words.
Give me that BBL Drizzy.
There's certain genres AI can't do because it's just so chaotic. Like there's this guy, Nick Nocturnal is his name, and he was going through AI metal pages on YouTube, and he found there's a genre called djent. Djent, DJENT. It's just because of the sound of the guitar. It's like all the 8-string stuff.
Oh, I was going to say, what is it, Dutch?
Yes.
I'm going to I'm going to play some heavy metal. Yeah.
It actually starts with Meshuggah. So yeah, it does actually. No bullshit. So he went to this Djent page, and the music sounded like a song because there's so many people that just copy. Oh, that's the popular thing. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Right. So you plug all that stuff in, it's going to spit out, oh, this is what it sounds like. He went to a page that was supposed to be, it's called Mathcore. A lot of different changing time signatures. A lot of times it sounds like somebody threw pots and pans in a dryer. I'm a big fan of pots and pans in the dryer music. I myself have made my fair share of pots and pans in the dryer music.
Pans in the dryer music.
Oh, I love pots and pans in the dryer music.
That sounds absolutely phenomenal.
Oh, dude. If one of my favorite bands no longer exists, they broke up in 2013, called The Chariot. And it was just an explosion whenever they got on stage. But if you don't know what it is, it's pots and pans in a dryer with just crazy screaming individuals. Okay. But when they tried to do a mathcore channel, it sounded like Garbledygook. Because there's no formula to formulaic music.
So like it couldn't do jazz.
It could do jazz because there's a bit of a formula to jazz.
Well,
but it'll sound like Kenny G. It might not sound like Miles Davis.
Okay. Well, I can go the rest of my life without hearing Kenny G, so I'll skip that one.
Again, it's why, music becomes the background of your life. And if you think about all this music that's recorded in a bedroom, everybody wanted to give Billie Eilish all these. Oh, she recorded the album in her bedroom. Oh my God. Cool. That's awesome. Good for her. I'm not mad at her for it, but it sounds like it was recorded in the bedroom. It doesn't really go anywhere. Even if you listen to that AI song, which is based on musicians in a room, it sounds large. So if you think about hip hop as a genre, hip hop starts with a drum machine and turntable records, where you're taking the break of dance music, disco, playing that over and over again. Then you have a drum machine now. You can use sampling technology, but what are you sampling? There's this vast library of music that you have access to, of jazz and funk. And then by the time you get to groups like De La Soul and that kind of second wave of hip hop, you're taking from popular music, you're taking from rock music. Well, I guess you can say even Run DMC to a certain degree takes from rock music, but whatever, there's just this vast array of music you can take from.
Mos Def did a whole album where he rapped over like a rock band. So,
but what happens to rap now? That library that you had access to in the 80s and 90s, a lot of those samples are already taken. Not everyone, but a lot of them.
Yeah.
And they're kind of pricey. So what makes more sense? There's AI programs right now. I want a piano part to sound like a Bob James song. Here you go. There's no more digging in the crates.
Yeah.
So now you have a genre of music that is pretending to be what it was 30 years ago.
But doesn't that kind of go back to what you were talking about, film?
Yeah.
Right. It's if it ain't broke, let's just reuse it.
Oh, definitely.
Right. And rap now sounds like a set of CDs that were sold on infomercials. Oh man. And that's the thing. Like people are, by and large, I'm not saying everybody here, but people want to make the quick buck, right? But they're not willing to stick their dick out to take a chance to see if it'll work.
Because
right?
It's not going to work.
Well, yeah, because everyone wants tried and true now.
Well, nobody wants to hear something that's uncomfortable to hear.
Well, yeah. Well, here's something uncomfortable to hear. I'm a huge comic book and MCU fan. Wait 5 years when they reboot the whole damn thing. And it's going to be the same movies. Right? Like, it's going to happen. I think, we kind of got burnt out because they were putting out like 5 movies and 4 shows a year. And now they're going back to 2 movies and like 2 shows a year. That's going to drive interest back up. Especially with how we've accepted kind of nerd culture in a ways that they didn't when we were growing up, you
Mhm.
know? So like it's gonna happen. They'll get through this run, they'll take a couple year break, and then at like San Diego Comic-Con, you'll see Kevin Feige come back out and be like, guess what, guys? And on the big screen, you're gonna see Avengers, and the new cast will walk out, and everybody's gonna lose their shit. Right? And
Yeah.
because you're absolutely right. People don't want to take that shot and put out something new. They're terrified. Like, I'll be the first one to say this. The original Planet of the Apes shit, I hated. I hated it. Hated it. Hated
Oh,
it.
from the 60s or 70s?
Yeah.
60s?
60s and 70s, hated it.
Charlton Heston. You damn dirty
You
apes.
damn dirty apes. The new
The
stuff.
Mark Wahlberg one. You're like, aha.
No, not that one. But this new run, I'm like, okay, there's a bit of storytelling here. Now, it is what it is, heavily AI generated or computer generated. Very few people in it. But I like it. There's a story. Actually, there's an actual story there.
Yeah.
That I've enjoyed, and my kids have actually liked it, which I was shocked. But like it's just you're absolutely right. Like, who would have thought, especially after the Mark Wahlberg Planet of the Apes flopped, that this would work? And it has. It's been incredibly successful. But I will. Here's my film review of the week, guys. Go see Fall Guy.
The Lee Majors TV show?
They made a movie with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt, and it was fucking
I'm the
hilarious.
unknown stunt man.
Yeah. Dude,
that one?
He was in it. He was in it at the very
Lee
end.
Majors? Dude, okay. I thought Lee Majors, these are the coolest white dudes in the world to me when I was a kid. Lee Majors was the coolest white man in the world to me. Bo and Luke Duke were the coolest white people in the world to me.
Well, I'm glad you don't think they're cool anymore.
Well, one of them is like super conservative, right?
One of them is like fondling Trump's balls as we speak.
That's a bad place to be when Jesus comes.
Oh, dude, yeah. He's just like, he's blowing Donald Trump, and Jesus comes back, and he's like, what?
I'm just doing your work, Lord. No, you're not. That is not anything I wanted you to do.
All of Trump's fake tan is coming off in his hand, so he's got like orange hands all the time.
Like, you could have been Daisy Duke, huh? You were like, nope, just want this guy's balls, huh? That's what you wanted? Oh, well. You people don't listen. Smite! And then he's just dead.
See, and I had this discussion about like the protests and stuff. And it looks like Cheeto dust. Like when he blows a load, it's just Cheeto dust that comes out.
If Trump can still come at 80, props to him.
Dude, yeah. But I was like, conservatives sure go hard for a country where, according to your theology, they're all going to burn in hell.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, no, they're going to convert. I'm like, that's not how faith works, man. That is not how it works. I was like, you Trump conservatives literally are the dumbest people ever.
Oh, definitely.
Right? Like, they're dumber than libertarians, and that's saying something.
I feel like they're all in the same boat.
Dude, if they are on the same boat, one's in the first class deck, and the other ones are like in the regular people deck.
Being so pro Trump is just the edgiest thing you can do because it's just so taboo. Like, even Republicans are like, I don't like that guy. So to be like, you know what? He's the right man for the job. It's like, this is some edgy. What do you people say? Edgelord?
Oh yeah. It's what the youth say.
The youth say. Here's this band, Mac, and this is my non-free account. Let me just switch it.
Is that your girlfriend in the ad right there?
No,
fat body white yoga instructor.
That's my ex. No, she left me, by the way.
GoDaddy. Si puedes imaginarlo, puedes construirlo. Sea cual sea tu idea, puedes convertirla en un proyecto.
anymore. You can't do that anymore at that level. Those dudes did that for 10 years, and there's no money in it.
Well, dude, on top of that, I mean, they're destroying a lot of instruments too. You know, their knees and shoulders are just shot at this point. You know, like they wake up in the morning, Jason. They're like, "Cool."
Hey, as someone that did, that's another aspect of it. I'm still sore from loading all that shit, from destroying my body for 30 minutes a night, and for what?
Hey, again, the experience. Like when we're on our deathbeds in our hovel, you can tell me all about it. We'll be we'll be immobile, incontinent because of the cancers. Just covered in shit until the nurse gets there.
I mean, yeah, there's someone saying there's still, yeah, of course there's still bands that make music like that, but it's very different in the sense of they can't tour to that level, and if they don't have financial backing, you can't do it.
Yeah,
you can't do it for a long period of time. You have to have financial backing. How much do you think these people are making tonight?
Oh, dude, yeah.
Play a 200-seat room. There's nobody. You're not making that much money.
No, and you also got to think too. How many venues did they play where the venue owner is just an asshole?
Yeah. There's. I almost played that video. There's footage of them playing in Australia, right? And the venue had like fruit in the front, and these kids are throwing fruit everywhere. And the venue goes, they cut the power. They're like, "You're done. You destroyed the room." And so the singer goes, "Well, they said we have to go. Does anybody have a house we can play at?" And this one kid goes, "I do." And they cut to the kid's house. The bass player's on the roof. The singer's hanging out a window. There's kids going fucking insane. Like it, they had an experience. I don't know if everybody in the band quit music. They could be doing it in some capacity, maybe recording, but even the recording world is a little different with big studios because you can do so much at home. So what are you paying the big studio for in 2024?
Yeah.
You can even buy isolation booths that are extremely inexpensive.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's how it goes with the proliferation of tech, right? It goes from you have to rent out giant studios in order to make your music to now, dude, I found an isolation booth for $200 and we can just get some noise dampening foam and put it up in my bedroom.
Yeah. And then we can make a record, or I can make a record by myself. Mm-hmm. Like I've made several records by myself since I left the Bay Area, and I like doing it. It's a lot of fun. Would I much rather be in a room with my loud friends screaming my balls off? Yes. All day, every day, twice on Sunday. We've all talked different times for the last 2 years. We got to do a show. We got to do a show. But it's just so expensive. We have to find a place to practice for at least a week.
Yeah. I mean, dude, and let's face it, it's not like we're young men anymore.
Yeah.
First person does a stage dive. He gets back up and he's like, "Oof. Oh shit."
Oof. Oof. That we do a show, it might be like, hey, we look at each other like, "Hey guys," giving hugs before, like, this might be it.
Dude, I helped coach a rugby team 3 days ago, and I'm watching the kids leave, and I'm like, "All right, guys, great practice." I ran back to my car and was like, "Oh my god." My buddy comes out and he's like, "It ain't easy anymore, is it?" I'm like, "No." He's like,
I don't want to pull the worst thing to load is a bass cabinet. It is 8 10-inch speakers, and they're usually 75 to 100 pounds.
Fuck that.
And you're always playing a venue with stairs that were built during the Prohibition.
Yeah. That
got grandfathered in.
You step on the first one, your foot goes through. You're like, "Oh, fuck."
Oh, God. Right. And then you look down at the rest of the band, and you're like, we got to get 2 full guitar stacks up, and then the drums,
And then by this point, you've broken all the stairs, and then you're in New York City. So a bunch of rats come out, and they're like, "Hey, asshole, we're living down here."
Hey, I'm walking over here.
Like one smoking a cigarette.
You should, dude. We played Minneapolis, and it had snowed. I can't remember where we were before that, but the weather was fine, and we all were wearing Vans.
By the time you get into the club, like your feet are soaked.
it was like 10 banana cream pies.
It's the fucking dude, and I only wear like Vans and Chucks. So when it rains, I'm like, I am not going outside. I refuse to leave the house, man.
We looked like 9 kinds of assholes coming out of that van. I was like, there's ice on the ground. There's magic ice on the ground.
And that's like the other knock against Vans and Chucks, because there's no grip on the bottom of those fucking shoes, man.
Mac, it's not like we had new Vans.
I know.
We had shitty Vans, and we're all like trying to walk slow. Jason, don't drop my head. You know.
Oh my god,
that was good times. Good times.
Nuri, Zach didn't even just blow his leg out. He tore his Achilles tendon while on tour with Rage Against the Machine. And then Jason, the crazy thing is he went and got treated. They put him in like a boot and like put a wrap on him, and he finished the tour.
Yeah.
He just sat down, you know? And then he went and got surgery, and then the bass player came out and said, "Yeah, we're not torn anymore, guys." All I'm saying is when we originally got into Rage, early 90s, Tom Morello was just a fucking pinball everywhere. Now you're lucky if he moves 4 inches to the left or 4 inches to the right.
Something. He's 50 something. You can fuck yourself. He's 50 something. If you get a head nod out of that motherfucker, that's a victory.
Bro, when I saw Rancid play, I'm like, they looked like they had been touring for fucking 35 years.
When did you see Rancid? You know, when I did the live thing, the book launch thing, if you watch it, you see Tim's guitar because Greg fixes Rancid's guitars. And he helped with Lars's signature model. And another buddy is their tech. So, you know. I
saw Rancid play Camp Anarchy this summer going into, it was summer 2019, right before COVID hit. I was at this great punk fest. It used to be called Punk and Drublic. Yeah. But when Fat Mike and NoFX got kicked out of the country, essentially, when they couldn't find any venues that would put him up after what he said in Vegas about like the Vegas shooter. You didn't hear about that shit? Oh no, Fat Mike is on stage. He's like, yeah, man, you know, no one's getting shot here because people only want like country music fans to die or something like that.
Jesus. Yeah.
So like no venue would put him up, and no fairgrounds would let him throw the fest. So they went and toured in Europe for like a year or two. And then they came back and changed the name to Camp Anarchy, right? And this was like,
and it's by you. It's in North Carolina.
No, it was in Ohio, Southern Ohio. So I drove up. I scooped up my sister and her boyfriend in Cleveland, and then we drove down. And it was a fucking blast, dude. Like Offspring was there, Rancid, Less Than Jake, MXPX, NoFX was like the headliner.
What's his record label called? That sounds like what's the record label called?
Dude, I can't remember. Fat Mike started like fucking 5 of them. You know, but dude, Rancid, like I said, man, Dead Kennedys played too, and like I said, like you could just tell these guys have been through the ringer because they're like you said, you get an occasional head nod. You know?
Dude, East Bay Ray is 60 something.
Yeah, I know.
The drummer passed away. Like it's not like those guys are living chaste lives. You know what I mean? Oh no, my camera's gone.
Oh yeah, but Dizzle did pay $10 for a super chat. Since we're getting free champagne, put them nuts on the stream.
I can't do it.
Listen,
do it.
Dizzle,
fucking cameras on.
Dizzle, we're still getting the OnlyFans up, man. Right? we have to authenticate Jason because like he does live in Mexico and there's a little more to it, and they wanted to know what our stream would be, what we would be doing on OnlyFans. And I'm like, it's going to be a mix of cooking and hog, just hanging out, flapping in the breeze.
I did meet a nice young lady that said she would be willing to video the ab cab cooking, but she was very against me. She was very against me frying bacon.
Well, yeah. I mean,
she was very against me frying bacon.
I mean, she's going to be shocked when we do the buffalo chicken sandwich episode.
I don't feel comfortable.
Jason's going to be behind behind our little cooking area, and he's going to you're going to take this meat tenderizer, and he's like, not for that kind of meat, for the shit. We're going to flatten this out. Remember, you're going to wrap it in that saran wrap first, and you're going to just flatten that out. And he's like, do you hear that? Do you hear that? That's called oil ready for frying.
Got to be a real professional for this, guys. Remember, wear your gloves, fellas.
Yeah. We're working with raw chicken. Don't give your person eating with you salmonella. See? So gloves.
I made, by the way, Mac, I made the best salsa I've ever made today. So I could imagine doing ab cab cooking, making the salsa and being like, make sure you got gloves on, guys, because you don't want to touch your junk.
That's right.
If you've been cutting these peppers.
Don't handle the hog after cutting peppers.
And a little thing comes up like that dating show. Tip number 1.
What was that? What was that video show on VH1 that had the bubbles?
Yeah, with the pop-up video.
Pop-up video.
Pop-up video. Fun fact, Jason scalded all of his ass hair off filming this scene.
If you're looking for somebody as smooth as a baby's bottom right now, it's Jason.
The reason why Jason's balls look like Freddy Krueger's face is
when he dropped that chicken in for that delicious sandwich.
I'm offended. Someone said that the salsa have raisins in it. No, it didn't have fucking raisins in it. Why would I do that?
Oh, Hunter said, I hope you get some kind of embroidered chef's hat that says "Careful with that hog" or something.
I feel like the young lady that would be videotaping it you would hear a very worried voice in the background that would be even more comedic because the worry would be legitimate worry. Like, I don't feel safe.
Jason, your nuts are really close to that fryer. Don't worry, sweetheart.
Don't worry.
Don't worry, viewers.
You said you didn't want kids, right?
Almost completely feel, no nerve endings down here anymore. We're good.
The funny thing is, I do so much shit because I live alone. Nude. I did learn one day boiled water nude.
No.
So I had this great, when I was drinking a lot of coffee, I just pour over thing, right? And so I would boil the water, get in the shower, and I had the kettle that whistled. And I've been so trained by a whistle that it went off. And I don't need to be in a hurry. The water's fine. But I'm running around.
Oh yeah, it's the American thing. It's
right. Yeah.
You hear a whistle, you're like, oh, I gotta go.
You're like, oh, and I'm fucking getting out of the shower. I'm like, sliding around. I have tile. I don't have carpet, so I'm sliding all over the tile. And I fucking Tom Cruise slide into the kitchen, and I'm like, okay, let me pour it over the coffee. But I'm moving so fast, and it's just splashing. Ooh. Water splash. Boiling water splashing on your junk will have you sounding like
Michael in Thriller.
Yes. I always think I sound cooler than it is. My neighbor's like, can you turn down the 60s R&B, please? Oh no, I'm just dipping my balls in the fucking boiling water like a tea bag.
The walls are so thin when Jason's upset. He's crying. He's like, his neighbor comes over. Mr. Jason, did you have a crying girl over here last night? Yeah, that was it. She was really upset. Okay, just don't.
You're crying. Can you shut that woman up?
I'm trying to sleep here, fucker.
Hunter says, you fried bacon. Jacob says he fried bacon. Dude, when you live alone, you do a lot of dumb shit.
Yeah, it's so true.
Like, I feel like I'm always in a hurry. Like, you know what else is shitty about America before we go? I keep saying before we go. It's been another hour and a half. Do you ever feel, Mac, because you do a lot, do you ever feel like you're not doing enough still?
All the time.
Right?
All the time. And a lot of it has to do with me trying to like volunteer and like do like call me reading hours. I've taken to calling it, where I'm trying to like actually like teach kids, 18, 19, 20, what communism really is, because we are so freaking brainwashed here.
Mm-hmm.
And they wanted to immediately jump into reading the manifesto. And I said, absolutely not. What we're going to do is read the People's Guide to Capitalism. So you understand the system before we get into how we tear it down. And, the manifesto is what, 87 pages?
It's dense.
Yeah. The People's Guide to Capitalism is over 300.
Mm-hmm.
And they just saw the size of that book and they're like, well, I don't want to fucking read that thing. And I'm like, guys, we're not going to read the whole fucking thing. I promise. I have things built to get the gist of multiple pages at once, and, so we did that. And, I'm doing that. I tried to, get money and supplies together to do, mutual aid at least once a month. And it's just like, because of like my own personal feelings, and I have to make up for the 16 years I spent in uniform. So I'm going to be very busy trying to do that,
mm-hmm.
Trying to work to survive and take care of my kids and do all that. It's like, I know I'm busy and I still feel like, should I volunteer and go to Egypt so I can help in Gaza?
Mm-hmm.
Because I had an opportunity to do that. And my ex was like, don't you fucking dare, because the Israelis
they're blowing up everybody, dude.
Yeah.
And they're blowing up people that are volunteering, just dropping off food that are apolitical at best.
Yeah. And that's what she said. Like, she pulled up a bunch of videos where like the Israeli forces were targeting people in press vests. Like, that's who they were shooting at.
Well, that's what they did in 2018. Remember that?
Yeah. But see, now they're not even trying to hide it. They're not lying. They're saying that they're passing out propaganda, so we're allowed to shoot them. And I'm like, that's not how press works. Like, that is not how that works. So like, yeah, but I get where you're coming from. It's like you have a schedule that's filled out 23 hours of the day, and you're like, I could be doing more.
It's like, what am I doing? Fucking exhaling.
Yeah.
Why do I need to eat?
Yeah.
Fuck is wrong with me?
Why
over here like a rich?
Why is there a book in your hand, bitch? Put that down and go.
Oh, dude, if I'm not reading for the show or some project I'm doing, then I'm not. Yeah, I fuck a personal life. But seriously, we are gonna do an episode. Just, you gotta wait for this person to get down here, and then they're gonna film it. Because I can't, if I have a camera just standing by itself, I'm gonna find a way to knock it over.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be, once again,
yeah, you're breaking all your cameras while your balls are on fire.
It's always loading fucking gear in Minnesota, right?
Jason can't even wear Vans in the house. Okay, like there's
no, not at all. I got some in the house shoes. These are only for in the house.
Oh,
you can't wear. Yeah, these are in the house only. And I'm gonna have them, so when you come visit, you'll have your pair, because you can't be walking around the house in them nasty ass shoes.
My shoes are. I mean, I'm going to follow the house rules because I believe firmly in that. But I take care of my sneakers.
But do you take your shoes off when you come home?
Yes, absolutely. I take my socks off too. I hate wearing shoes or anything on my feet in the house.
Hey, Blinken. Do you take? I'm like Mr. Rogers when I come home.
Oh, you sit down.
I take the jacket off.
Hang it up.
Yeah. I gotta hang it up.
Now I gotta ask, do you bring your foot up to your knee to untie your shoes?
Usually I'm wearing a slip-on, Mac?
Okay,
Because I dress like I'm 7.
because apparently, according to DC fanboys, if you bring your foot up to your knee, you're gay. Because I don't know if you saw the new Superman ad. It had him putting his boots on.
Yeah.
In his costume, and there's like
Yeah.
something going on in the background.
Yeah.
I think the new Superman costume looks rad.
Okay.
It's a mix of the classic and the new 52. But they immediately go, you just made Superman effeminate, bringing his foot up to his knee to put on.
Why
his
is
boots.
everything? Someone says I see Jason Moore as a Winnie the Pooh in the house.
I can see that. He's got like a band t-shirt on, but like no pants.
Just dangling around the house. And a big fucking window. I have a big fucking window. I have this big ass window.
Jason's the naked neighbor, guys, and you know the one I'm talking about. The one that if they can't be naked, they're gonna be naked, just walking around. You know.
No, I
He gets out on that deck, gets that leg up while he's having his coffee, straight up Captain Morgan style. Just
do I have short shorts? Yes. Do I? There's things I do in my house, but I'm not. When I come home, I'm respectable because you never know who's going to knock on the door. Right.
Again, it's your house. You got the hog hanging. You're like, hey, on this side of the threshold, this is my home.
This is all hog. I never want to get. You know how goofy I am about getting too comfortable with certain things. There's a door I'm looking at right now that leads into the bathroom. From my room, I won't go through it. I walk around because I never want to forget. Because I'm such a creature of habit that I will forget, and you will be taking a shit in there. I'll just walk right in the door and forget and not even think. It's only one bathroom with 2 doors. It's some goofy shit, but yeah, I would totally walk in on you like, oh, sorry, man. I heard you in there grunting. I didn't know what it was.
It's the water, Jason. Leave me alone. I don't have the stomach bacteria to deal with this.
Dude, this like that teacher was saying, this level of like homophobia that young people have where everything is gay. I don't get it. What did they say? Having sex and enjoying it is gay.
Yeah, which I don't know how procreation for procreating purposes became the only straight way to fuck, but and it goes back to like all these trad Catholic and trad Christians. It's like, dude, I don't know if you saw Harrison Butker, the kicker for the Chiefs, did a commencement speech at a.
What did he say again? That the women are ruining the world or some shit?
He's like, there are a lot of women out there in the audience. You're getting your degree. Just keep in mind, this is not the important thing you think it is. The most important thing of your life, and my wife would agree with you, is to be a homemaker and make babies, and shit like that. It's just like, bro, holy fuck,
Dude.
I mean, and isn't it weird? And I hate it, this is such a weird topic to kind of end on, but like you see this rise, right? And like the Guardian's written a lot of articles about it, about homoerotic behavior between men, but it's not gay because we're friends, right? Like they'll make out, but it's not gay because we're friends. Well, dude, it's okay to be gay. No, dude, no, I can't be gay.
We're friends. Totally blowing.
I fuck women, but I make out and maybe do other things with this dude because we're friends, and it's not gay.
I thought that was the definition. No?
I
mean, whatever floats your boat. I'm not here to judge you. I'm just saying it's okay.
I want you to enjoy consensual sex with whatever makes you happy, right? But I'm like, it's this weird dichotomy of like, you get like these traditional Christian folks that are like, you only bang to make babies, right?
That
and
sucks.
If you bang for fun, that's actually homosexual activity, right? Or yeah, I make out with my bro all the time, but it's not gay, Oh, Hunter put the quote up there. I can tell you that my beautiful wife, Isabel, would be the first to say that her life truly started when she started living her vocation as a wife and a mother.
Her vocation?
Mm-hmm.
Like she clocks in for that shit?
Yeah.
Who wants to clock in to be your servant? Okay, here, I found it. So there's this woman, I think she's like the king of the the traditional wives. I just can't say trad. Every time people say trad, I just hear the shitty guy in an 80s movie. And I'm just like, I don't want to hear trad.
Dude, before you push play, Andrew, I accidentally brushed my hand against my friend's prostate, but it's not gay because we're homies. Oh, Jim, you're really up there. I know, but it's not gay, right? It's not, dude. Just keep going.
It's totally fine. You know, there's another what did the guy say? Fun button? It's a fun button. Fun button's there.
It's like Stifler in one of those the dude who played Stifler in Road Trip, when he's like, did I say one finger? Better make it two.
Like, this woman apparently had on OnlyFans or something. And
then she's one of those converts.
Something, and now she's not. Like, look, whatever it is, I don't care. First of all, if you have to dress up like you're going to a fucking Kentucky Derby without the hat in the morning, that's too much.
Way
and
too
it's
much.
Gonna make me feel ugly.
Yeah.
First of all, this is about me.
Yeah.
And my insecurities.
Just because I dress like a fucking 13-year-old boy and you're making me feel bad about it. You know what? Fuck you, lady.
I'm waking up in sweatpants, goddammit. I can't have you walking around like that. So here she is. She's going to tell you about her day and her ancestral diet, which is like, what the fuck is an ancestral diet?
No.
Check this out.
She's going to drink raw milk, isn't she?
Oh, it's better.
Oh.
But also, who is she fucking? Because that's a nice kitchen.
Probably a dude who does things with his homies.
Artificial sugars, dyes, and preservatives at all costs. I start my morning off with a glass of filtered water and lemon juice from my tree. Then I make a pour-over coffee with organic mold-free beans and a good amount of raw pasture-raised cream. At 9:30 a.m., I whip up a batch of sourdough discard blueberry muffins, which fermented overnight to neutralize phytic acid and enzyme inhibitors. While those bake, I make 100% grass-fed beef breakfast sausages and some eggs from my backyard pasture-raised chickens. Then I take my Birthright prenatal and hormone balancing supplement, which I love because they're made with ancestral real foods like raw 100% grass-fed beef liver and colostrum, wild fish roe, and oysters. At 10:15 a.m., I prepared a heritage breed whole.
When do you have time to shit, lady?
And you know she's shitting. She used non-pasteurized cream.
Like, when do you look? This is gonna sound like some Neanderthal shit, and I'm so sorry, but I want to bang my wife. I don't want to have organic muffins, and I need you hand rolling a fucking beef sausage. There's only one beef sausage you need to hand roll. Okay?
And honestly, that's not beef sausage. Sausage has a casing.
She's hand rolling beef. You want to hand roll some beef?
Yeah. Got 4.5 inches right here. So
I got 4.5 hard inches for you to fucking hand roll right now. Look at this kitchen.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't know if you've seen, but like raw milk consumption is like a big thing now with these traditional folks. And like people are, and like they don't realize that'll fuck you up.
Dude.
Like bad.
Look, she's got an eating disorder. That's the look at her eyes.
Can we just say that Louis Pasteur did the hard work to come up with pasteurization to make sure you didn't die sucking off a cow's teat?
I wake up in the morning, I jerked off 2 bulls and sucked the teat of our cows in the backyard.
And Jacob brought up another colostrum. She used colostrum.
Colostrum, yeah.
In some of her supplements.
Yeah. Yeah.
What? Breast milk became a black market seller.
Dude, titty milk is the future. We're not done. It's only Mac. It's only 10.
Oh God.
It's only 10.
Okay, let's continue.
No one's helping this woman. She's got a whole fucking chicken. Look at this.
Chicken that had been pasture-raised and slaughtered on my parents' farm, seasoned with unrefined sea salt, pepper, herbs, garlic, and onion. I let this bake in the oven at 300 degrees Fahrenheit until dinner time. I made myself a raw kefir smoothie at 2 p.m. with my homegrown frozen peaches, Tamarilla.
She's cooking it until dinner time at 300 degrees?
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be like fucking chicken brittle. Oh my
She's
god!
dry.
No shit. And the seasoning, the little. I seasoned the entire thing with sea salt and pepper.
Breast milk lattes all day. She's sprinkling on seasoning on an entire chicken like it's French fries.
If I told you what chocolate breast milk tastes like, I would drink you again.
This is just Shevin trying to show Pascal. This woman's day is so filled with some frivolous bullshit. It's like, look,
Okay.
the chicken's not going to taste very good.
Okay,
Number
just
one.
hit play so I can.
I don't want your breast milk latte. You know, you could have, your day, everybody's day could have been done. We could have been at a TGI Fridays, having a good time.
Dollar margaritas are back, baby. We could go.
Oh, dude, imagine I'm like, hey, Mac, the woman just fucking rolled some sausage. We're going to go meet you at the Fridays.
Golly.
No, you don't want to meet anybody at the Fridays?
Those and garnished with bee pollen. Later that afternoon,
And she's doing it all alone. What do you tell me you're doing something without telling me you're doing something? Tell me you're a hostage without telling me you're a hostage.
Mhm.
Basically, what they're doing with gaslighting 101.
Yep.
I'm not a hostage. I'm just a traditional wife.
And as she's saying that, she's blinking like crazy. Let people know she's a hostage.
Everybody loves breast milk. I'm just a traditional wife.
What is she making? What is she making now?
No, you're not. You're a hostage, ma'am.
I whipped up a raw cheesecake using homemade raw cream cheese from my parents' farm, eggs from my chickens, and a nut and date.
Do you live with your parents? Are they the ones that have you hostage? Who has you hostage?
I feel like her dad sold her to the rich dude whose kitchen that she's in right now.
I'm so scared for this woman. I'm so scared for this woman.
I'm worried about her intestinal health.
I'm okay with her shitting, like peeing out of her ass. She signed
That's
up
not what
for
I'm
that.
talking about. Unpasteurized stuff will pass off disease. Like
Oh,
shit we haven't seen here in the United States in fucking decades. And
I
now all
think-
these assholes are fucking drinking raw milk and eating raw cream.
Max, she's like this. I then went to the bathroom to pull out the worms that were dangling out of my anus.
That's why her face looks so sunken in, because the worms are eating everything. Are we sure this isn't RFK's wife?
Dude, someone says a stay-at-home daughter. I've never heard of this before. My parents won't let me leave. Let her go. We need to start a campaign. Let Gretchen go.
Crust. We had dinner at 6 p.m., which was a chicken noodle soup topped with homemade pickled radish and rock kraut and some avocado, followed by a slice of raw cheesecake.
You did all that for some fucking chicken soup? For some fucking chicken soup? And a mediocre cheesecake? You didn't even put any fucking strawberries or any shit on there? Not even a cherry thing?
There's no puree.
There's nothing. She didn't put any chocolate shit on it. We could have went to hey, Gretchen, we could have went to the Cheesecake Factory, saved a lot of time, had way more sex.
Yeah. And then hit fucking TGI Fridays for dollar margaritas.
Oh
before
my
we did the
God.
sex.
We could have had and done it again.
Yeah.
We could have watched a movie, remodeled the bathroom. There's so much shit we could have done, Gretchen.
Done our taxes.
We could have played with our children.
Yeah.
So much shit could have got done. But you wanted to make chicken fucking soup for literally 8 hours.
Caleb just said Ben Shapiro beat his meat to this shit.
And blew a massive load.
Oh, you see, this honey really.
Maggie would be like, "Ah!"
His wife comes in from the other room. Benjamin. Why? No, don't look at me.
The spackler. Ben Spackler Shapiro.
Just
Seriously, dude.
jerking off to trad wife reels and blowing loads in his wife's face when she walks in.
It's like you can't do that on television when someone says, I don't know. That is the most Gen X thing I think this show has ever said. So have fun with that one.
This is nightmare inducing. Fucking Ben, man, just go bang your wife for other reasons than procreation.
Dude, what everything these people do is the most worthless shit ever. You made chicken soup, a cheesecake, and a regular ass breakfast. That's the most regular breakfast ever. Do you know what I had for breakfast? Not that. There's chili killies going on over here, dude. Some special shit, Mac.
I made a giant breakfast burrito today. I was pretty proud of that.
Did you roll it right?
Oh yeah, dude. It's taken me years to figure out how to roll it correctly, but I finally picked it up.
Did you cut it or you just ate the whole thing?
Oh no, I eat the whole thing, man.
That's gay.
Oh, I get why, because I got this long thing.
Yeah, you're just like, oh, I'm enjoying my food.
Yeah.
Only gay people enjoy their food.
Me and Superman are gay then. I mean, there are worse, places to be than with gay Superman. I mean, and before we go, I don't know if you know this, but like Superman went off-world in the comics for like 2 years and his son took over.
His son was a non-binary, right?
No, that was one of the Robins. His son was bisexual.
Oh,
and you should have seen, but he was dating a dude.
Oh,
like after the first few months, and everybody comes out just, Superman would never be into guys. And one person popped up on Twitter like, well, he's not technically just into guys. He's just into that guy right now.
And he's an alien.
Yeah.
I don't know who the fuck you thought he was, because he's not human.
Yeah.
He's not human. He's like Roger from American Dad.
His son would be half human technically, because Lois Lane's his mom. And let's give it up for Lois's internal reproductive organs.
Taking in all that fucking super sperm.
That's right. Like I figured, in my fan fiction here, when he blows his load, it just shoots out the top of her head. And then he's just consumed with guilt for the rest of his days because he killed the one woman that loved him.
One woman. Tell me, how am I supposed to live without you?
Right. Michael Bolton's on complete repeat in his house,
dude. Imagine if that's rough.
Yeah,
Superman, that's a rough life.
Yeah, and he's just dejectedly fighting crime.
We're also assuming that an alien has a penis.
Oh, dude, he wore underwear on the outside of his pants for 60 years. That
could have been his extra thumb.
And on that note.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. Another very fun episode of Beyond the Red Zone.
Oh, goddamn, Andrew. He said Man of Steel, one of Kleenex. Oh, no. No, Andrew, no.
More trad porn, please. Wonder Woman's the only one that can handle the Superman's load. Again, Dizzle, if he had a penis, it's just a thumb.
Jason's theory is it's just a thumb.
It's a thumb. Until you see it, you don't know. And I'm gonna go, he's an alien, and it's a thumb. I've seen Total Recall. Those aliens were not right. 3 titties. One guy had a whole fucking arm come out of his thing, and then another dude had another dude in him, but not like that, but
yeah. It was in his stomach, not.
That's not better. That's not better. That is not better.
Next episode, Toussaint will be here to make sure we do it.
Woo! And another man was in his stomach. That's called rearranging his guts.
God damn it.
Do you got the issue where Superman gets his shit pushed in?
Oh my god.
Just when you thought you couldn't demonetize enough.
I feel like Bradley Cooper at the beginning of the fucking bachelor party when he's on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, we fucked up."
I thought we were gonna end with the fucking woman doing all this unnecessary shit in her hostage situation, and we took a whole trip down to inappropriate town.
We just took a left into TJ. That's what we did.
Oof, yeah, red light district, and even the people there like clutching their pearls, like, oh, Jesus, what's wrong with you guys?
Yeah, you guys are sick. It's fair. It's fair.
Dizzle says, I think in the comics his penis is revealed. I don't know where you're getting your comics from, but it sounds like you're getting them from Temu. That is some fucking
Temu Superman comics are just
Temu Superman.
This really just a really horny dude, so his dick's like 3 feet long, you know, like it's like some bad like anime porn stuff.
That's where Temu Superman is not it. It's not where you want to be when your day of judgment comes.
No, you do not want those.
Hey, let's remember, guys, be good to each other. Let's free. What's her name? Gretchen? We got to free Gretchen.
Free Gretchen.
Got to get Gretchen out of her parents' house.
Like, I get it. We should all be standing up for Palestine, but Gretchen is a little more important right now. Okay, we got to get her out of that house.
If we don't get Gretchen out of that house, she may spend a month and a half on a goddamn meatloaf.
Yeah. Or end up at the CDC in quarantine for all the worms that she has in her intestines. She'll be laying right next to Robert Kennedy with his brain worm.
After I got over my scarlet rubella, I woke up at 5 a.m. to clean the entire kitchen with my toothbrush.
With grass-fed cleaner from my parents' farm. And whoever said it was right. All these traditional wife people all have the same fucking voice. They all sound the same. Every fucking one of them.
Dude, free them all. Just free them all. And all you have to do really is open the door.
And entice them out with some non-pasteurized cream.
It looks like also a gift card for Ann Taylor's Loft.
Oh, yeah. Or what's that other fancy...
Anthropologie?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh yeah, definitely Anthropologie. They'd be blowing their load over that.
You just put like a Anthropologie like pot set still in the box, like outside the door. Like, she runs out, you close it real quick, get her in the car.
Like when they kidnap people in cults.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Or Scientology likes to call it a Tuesday.
Speaking of cults, there's a movie called Faults. It's about a dude that had a business getting people out of cults. And one of the people he got out committed suicide. And he's hired to get this one woman out of a cult. That's all I'm going to tell you. It's a really good movie if you haven't seen it. It came out 2018, I think 2016. Faults.
He's going in there armed and just murking people.
You have to watch it. It is so good. It's one of the more uncomfortable movies I've ever seen. Faults.
Well, I mean, I might have a new line of work because I'll just go into cults and be like, "Hey, are you Jenny? Get over here. The rest of you, I'm gonna kill all of you."
It's a fucked up movie. And it's got a decent cast too. I can't think of the actors' names. All those people that you've seen in other movies, but you don't know their name. Like a bunch of those guys. Faults.
I'm down. Only 5 of her 7 kids have whooping cough. PMC. We're going on that one.
Thank you guys so much. We are out.